II championship under Frank Smith. This one's for Casey. The Thunderbirds are national champions.
In our second decade of university sports, TSN proudly presents CIAU football.
Time to dust off that old school cheer. Many, I'm sure, have been here before. It is Championship Saturday at Skydome. The Stingers are here, and so too are the Melonhead Huskies. Students can act like students today. It is the Saskatchewan Huskies and the Concordia Stingers for Vanier Cup 34 live on TSN. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Skydome for the 34th National University Football Championship in Canada. I'm Rod Smith. For the past 10, TSN has been here ever since it moved out of Chile Varsity Stadium indoors at Skydome. We have been broadcasting these championship games. In that first one, in 1989, the Saskatchewan Huskies made their first appearance, emerging on the national scene, losing the game. However, they would be back again and again and again. This is their 5th appearance in the past 10 seasons. They have won 2 in 1990 and again in 96, 2 years ago. Concordia making its first appearance in the Canada West, the dominant conference the last 2 decades, and they've won the last 3. Calgary in 95 and Saskatchewan 96, UBC last year. Joining me as always, Jamie Bone, who broadcast every game in here, every Vanier since 1989. Saskatchewan, we saw Jamie last week against Western, dominate in many ways, including the running game.
They always seem to have one of those great backs, and this year really is no exception. They have a great tailback in Doug Rosen, and also his backup, Tony Chad. They put up some great numbers this year. Doug Rosen close to 1,000 yards, and Tony Chad likes to run the ball, 5.3-yard average as well.
Now let's take a look at this, the counter at our GM Sierra virtual replay.
Well, they love to run what they call counter sweep here, and we stop it right here. We take a look. This is what Doug Rosen's perspective, what he sees in counter sweep. We have the guard kicking out on primary contain. You can see the dark man on your left kicking out the Western player in contain. And look what Doug Rosen sees looking down the field. There is nobody in that position. Now, when we swing the camera all the way around, we're going to show you why this play works so well. They fake that they're going to the right, they come back. This freezes what they call secondary fill. And we're going to see the secondary fills position right now. He's looking at Doug Rosen coming through the hole, but he doesn't have a very good angle on him. And Doug Rosen has a great angle to the goal line right now. And this is the kind of thing that Doug Rosen's looking at. This will be shot from the perspective of the corner of the end zone, and you can see how well this is blocked. The guard keeps the defender on the outside of the shoulder, and then Doug Rosen's going to take it right up the field, and he has tremendous speed, Rod. We saw this last week. You see secondary fill misses him. He takes it into the end zone for 6.
That was a 49-yard touchdown run. Rosen, after 1 quarter, had over 100 yards, ended up with 214, a remarkable day. Now for Concordia, the bread and butter is the option, and the bad news, their normal starter Sean Hoas can't go because of injuries, so the task falls on John Kronemeyer.
Well, you can see how important Sean Hoas is to the offense. I mean, he had the most carries this year and over 600 yards. John Kronemeyer hasn't had hardly any work at all. But the real thing with option here, it forces the defense to play very disciplined. Last week against Acadia, we stop it right here. Take a look at the perspective here. You know, everybody has to be accounted for. Look where the Acadia player is right now. You have to take account of the quarterback or the pitchman. He gets caught here in the middle. And consequently, when you get caught in the middle, I know he's trying to play one guy off the other. This is what ends up happening. I mean, they pitch the ball outside. See this play coming down here in the angle, and you notice the relationship between the quarterback and also the running back. The running back is back about 4 yards and 5 yards away. This is the perspective we'll take a look at from the end zone. He's caught now in no man's land. He's not playing the quarterback. He's not playing the pitchman. But Kronemeyer looks at him and says, he's closer to me. He's going to try and sink inside, and I'm going to have to pitch the ball. Now, if we look all the way back from the end zone shot, coming around to the corner, when we finish this play, you'll see that Kronemeyer, in fact, dips his left shoulder, pitches the ball out to Evan Davis Jr. Right there, and Evan Davis Jr. takes it all the way down the sidelines, gets a good block from the wide receiver, and takes it in for 6.
75 yards, and that's set up. That got them close enough within a field goal for them to win the game over Acadia and get here to the national championship. Well, Kronemeyer came on in the second half, but this time he gets the start. No Sean Hoas. Kronemeyer talked about the pressure of playing in the Vanier Cup.
There's a little bit more pressure. Being the underdogs, being the second-string quarterback, you know, you always have to go in there and expect to perform as the #1 guy. So there's that little pressure, but I'm basically trying to put it aside and just focus on what I'm supposed to do and how we're going to win this game.
Well, Sean Hoas out and John Kronemeyer in, and how difficult running the option is it going to be for a backup like Kronemeyer to come in?
Well, you know, he sounds pretty confident in that piece, and he's been around for a couple of years, and he's taken this in great stride because I think it's a lot of pressure on him. First start ever in his career, and it's in the 34th Vanier Cup, so sounds like he's ready.
Experience, I wonder how much of a factor it is. A lot of these Saskatchewan players have been here before. No one with Concordia has been.
I think it's a huge advantage for Saskatchewan, frankly, because you know they're used to what goes on in the week, and Concordia the first time. There's a lot of distractions during the week. Saskatchewan really know how to handle it.
Well, we're up here in the booth, but we have sideline reporters as well. Let's first head down to Concordia sideline and join David Amber. David.
Rod, Jamie, what do the Stingers lose by not having Sean Hoas in the lineup? They lose a lot. He will back up, but they lose a guy who was their third leading rusher during the regular season. They lose a guy who was averaging 8.4 yards a carry in the playoffs. They lose a guy who loves to run the option. They'll have to go with their second option, John Kronemeyer. Kronemeyer, what do we know about him? We'll call this Kronemeyer 101. He has a very strong arm, 6'3", close to 200 yards, very athletic. In fact, he was the second most highly recruited quarterback behind Jesse Palmer, who we know is now down with the Florida Gators. Kronemeyer, though, a tough way to make your first ever start as a Concordia Stinger, making it here at the 34th Vanier Cup. A big day for him indeed.
Welcome to the U of S sidelines. I'm Darren Natishin, and ladies and gentlemen, conversely, the Huskies do not have any injury problems whatsoever. About the only question mark that they had going into the playoffs at all was Doug Rosen. Now, he did not play in the Can West final against UBC Thunderbirds, but he did play in the Churchill Bowl against the Western Mustangs. He ranked up over 200 yards. He was the game's MVP. Now, the Huskies have only faced two OQIFC teams before. The first time was in 1989 when they beat Queens. Sorry, Rod. 40-10 was the final. Then they beat the Bishop Gators in 1990 by a score of 41-13. They won those two football games by a combined margin of 58 points. Are the Huskies a little superstitious? You could say so. When it comes to the Vanier Cup, they are the perfect 2-0 when they wear the whites. They are 0-2 when they wear the green. They are going with the whites today. Rod?
Thank you, Darren. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the starting defense for the Atlantic Bowl champion Concordia University Stingers. The starting defense for the Concordia University Stingers at defensive tackle, number 99, Jeff Anderson. Starting at defensive tackle, number 99, Jeff Anderson. Also starting for Concordia at defensive tackle, number 72, Sam Toussaint. Defensive end, number 91, Wayne Dunn. At defensive end, number 45, McLean Stevenson. At linebacker, number 23, Jason Casey. At linebacker, number 44, Dan Drummond. At linebacker, number 7, Dwayne Bromfield. At free safety, number 29, Christian Cote.
boys. This is the show. This is what we play for. Is everybody here? This is what we play for, boys. Let's get it up. Let's get it up.
And now the starting defense for the Churchill Bowl champion, University of Saskatchewan Huskies. The nose tackle, number 64, Charlie Biggins. At defensive tackle, number 44, James Rapesi. At defensive end, number 46, Brent Dancy. At defensive end, number 55, Mike Milo. At linebacker, number 42, Brandon Stroh. At linebacker, number 45, Trevor Lutke. At linebacker, number 47, Warren Musica. At corner, number 1, Mike Stewart. At corner, number 4, Mike Beasley. At halfback, number 20, Curtis Alberts. Also at halfback, number 5, Jason Weber. And the safety, number 26, Colin Dutton. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach Brian Tauris and the rest of the Churchill Bowl champion Saskatchewan Huskies.
Today, right here, today we are going to end the season with a fucking bang, all right? So let's go out there and out-hit them on every fucking play, and the big plays will happen for us, all right? Husky Pride on 3. 1, 2, 3. Husky Pride! Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, this past Tuesday night, the former head coach of the UBC Thunderbirds, Casey Smith, died after a 6-month battle with liver cancer. Casey was the head coach of the T-Birds for 3 seasons, winning the Vanier Cup here at Skydome last year. At this time, I would ask you to observe a moment of silence in memory of a truly great contributor to Canadian football. Thank you. Now it is time for our national anthem. It is time for our national anthem, and here to sing it is Constable Roger Saint-Gelais of the RCMP.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command, car ton bras a porté l'épée, il sait porter la croix, ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem as sung by Constable Roger Saint-Gelais. It's game.
Moments before the national anthem, of course, you heard essentially nothing. The silence in honor of a great football man, Casey Smith, who passed away of liver cancer on Tuesday night at his home in Vancouver. Casey Smith, a great coach with the UBC Thunderbirds, whose crowning achievement came here last year for a man who dedicated his life to the game of football. The son of longtime Thunderbirds head coach Frank Smith. He took over a 1-8-1 team in 1995 and led it to the Vanier Cup title 2 years later. Smith was diagnosed with cancer prior to the start of the season and took sick leave, handing over the reins to assistant Dave Johnson. Even though he was ill, Smith still attended practices and games and sitting in the press box and passing along advice to the coaches via headset, even making appearances in the dressing room to keep his players encouraged. Those players in turn dedicated this season to their head coach. These are shots from last year when Casey Smith was on the sideline with a UBC team that was victorious over Ottawa U. TSN and the CIAU dedicate the 1998 Vanier Cup to the late Casey Smith. It's a Vanier Cup debut for Pat Sheehan and the Concordia Stingers. President's Trophy nominee Dwayne Bromfield leads a tenacious and punishing defense that swarmed Acadia last week and was second best in the nation in the regular season. They'll need to be at their best facing a Huskies offensive line that opens up big holes and allows quarterback Ryan Reed and running back Doug Rosen to do their thing. On the other side of the ball, Brian Tauris's defense is led by the outstanding defensive player in the country, Warren Musica. Strong and quick, this unit chased Western quarterback Mike O'Brien all over the field and hopes to do the same to Stinger pivot John Kronemeyer as he gives his team the option to punch it in or get within the lengthy range of kicker Dave Miller-Johnston. It's the Atlantic Bowl champion Concordia Stingers versus the Churchill Bowl champs, the Saskatchewan Huskies. The road to the Vanier ends today. After nights of practice and many, many games, it comes down to this, the national championship of CIAU football. Saskatchewan, led by this man, Brian Tauris, started off in the program at age 27 in 1984, and he has led his team to 5 national championship games.
And his counterpart on the other side of the field, of course, Pat Sheehan, first time here in the Vanier Cup for his team, but not for Pat. He was here as an assistant with McGill University back in 1987.
And this 1998 Vanier Cup is about to begin, and it will start off the foot of Dave Miller-Johnston, second overall draft pick by the Toronto Argonauts in the 1998 CFL draft, and the hero for Concordia last week in Halifax with a 45-yard field goal. And Doug Rosen was the hero for Saskatchewan in the Churchill Bowl, one of them anyway. Scored the first touchdown and ran for 214 yards, and he is an excellent kick returner as well. He is joined by number 70, Kelly McNairn. As we wait for the kickoff, Miller Johnston making an adjustment. And what a clutch field goal, Jamie, it was, the 45-yarder last week.
Well, you think last week in the Atlantic Bowl, Concordia only led once in that football game, and that was when time expired, when they beat the Acadiacsmen 25-24.
The most important time. And now we've reached the most important game. From the 45, this Vanier Cup is underway. And it's dropped by Kelly McNairn, who moves up the middle nicely, still on his feet, and up to the 45-yard line, where Ryan Reed and the Huskies will go to work. A 35-yard return for Kelly McNairn.
Ryan Reed has had an incredible season this year, throwing for close to 2,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. And in the backs, receivers with Ryan Reed in the backfield. We see Mirza wide out with Malinchuk, Rennie and Schultz inside receivers, and Linden fullback, and Doug Rose on the explosive tailback.
And Reed has used his wideouts a lot more in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. Watch for Malinchuk and Mirza, who had a touchdown catch last week. A team that also loves to run the ball will pass on first down. It's complete. And close to a first down it is, Saskatchewan. And it's the slot back Jarrett Rennie, who led the Huskies in receptions in the regular season, picking up that catch. Up front, Mark Dutton, the center. Scott Flory, he was the only all-star on that line, the veteran on that team. An outstanding offensive line. They looked great against Western last week, opening some huge holes. And they certainly offered some protection for Ryan Reed, who had a lot of time in the pocket to get his work done last week. On the first play, it leads to a first down at midfield. This time they run it, and it's a short gain of about 3 yards for Doug Rosen, number 23. Up front for Concordia, the guy to watch especially, number 99, Jeff Anderson, and also number 7, Dwayne Bromfield. Anderson, an All-Canadian last year. Bromfield was one this year.
And the secondary led by Lamont Selman and Sean Gordon at the corners, the two speedsters inside, Lone Dong, Christian Cote at safety, and Greg Casey at the other halfback spot.
This tends to be a defense that will bend but not break. That was their history in the playoffs coming into this game against Laval, certainly the one that ended up being played over the course of 2 days, and then last week against the Axemen. On second down and long, wide open and caught. Jason Crum with it, taking it down to the Concordia 25-yard line.
And Jason Crum does not come in here as a starter. They're trying to play man underneath zone on top, and Ryan Reed gets a little bit confused, but watch what happens down the field. Lone Dong falls down, leaves his man. Ryan Reed making a heads-up play, coming back off the primary side and coming back and hitting Jason Crum for a big play.
Jason Crum's brother Mike, a former Husky and a backup safety with the BC Lions this year. Huskies on the move on the first drive of this 98 Vanier Cup after a gain of 27 to Jason Crum. And now it's down to the Concordia 26 on the toss. Doug Rosen, good pursuit. He has to cut back. And Dan Drummond takes him down. It looked like Rosen almost lost the football.
Well, great running backs have that ability to cut back hard. Looks like Wayne Dunn has him wrapped up here, but look at this, cut back hard inside. Oh, almost loses the football. You can see in his right hand, it almost popped out, but held on to it. But his ability to cut back, and especially playing an artificial surface, gives you that real true feel. And Doug Rosen's a very explosive player.
A gain of 4 yards, 2nd and 6. Huskies in scoring position already in their first drive of this game. Backfield clears. Reed to throw. Looks into the end zone. Wide open. Dropped. That was a sure touchdown for the Huskies. But dropped.
Doug Rosen usually has very good hands. You know, Rod, this is a case where the ball hung up there so long and he had so much time to think about it. I mean, that's just a miss. He didn't even have a chance on that one. He knows it.
And there are two sides to this story. Good for Concordia that he dropped the ball, but bad that receivers are getting open so early for Saskatchewan. And so Matt Kellett, 4 for 6 in the playoffs. As long as this season was 50 yards, that counting in the regular season. And this one coming about 27 yards away. And Saskatchewan nonetheless does get on the board, but not the way they would instead of 7 after the drop pass at the end zone by Doug Rosen. Saskatchewan getting on the board early here in Vanier Cup 34.
Ron, we go back to that play that Doug Rosen dropped the football. Concordia came with a blitz, and actually the linebacker that would have picked him up in man coverage came hard. Ryan Reed did a real nice job of avoiding the blitz, stepped up, and of course Doug Rosen's wide open.
And so, John Kronmeyer, 11 for 16 in 3 playoff games, had a good one against Acadia last week, and he is the backup, but he is in for the injured Sean Hoas, throwing a hitch pass right away, and they've got him wrapped up. That's Sylvain Girard with a catch and a loss on that play.
Back to receivers for Concordia. Sylvain Girard at wide receiver along with David Spence. Carrier and Wood at the 2 insides. Ashworth at fullback and Evan Davis Jr. at tailback.
And Matthew Orlando, the center on that offensive line. Steve Jobin, Alex Oliveira, Wayne Spence, and Adam Hemming. All up front for Concordia with a big task ahead against an outstanding front 7 for Saskatchewan. They lost a yard on that first down. 2nd and 11. Hugo Carrier with the catch, but not a first down. He gets up to about the 41-yard line. And early on in this game, Concordia will be punting.
Well, it's interesting to see Concordia come out here. We were expecting the run option right off the bat, but they're trying to go and throw the ball. Trying to get Saskatchewan to get all those 8 men off of the line of scrimmage, trying to loosen them up a little bit so they can run the ball a little bit more effectively later on.
He was the best punter in the country last year, but his average has dropped substantially since, down to just over 34. Dave Miller-Johnson and David Mirza, another good Husky receiver who is a good contributor on special teams as well, back to return this punt. It'll go from about the 33 Concordia. It is high. Comes down to Mirza at his 23. Can't find anything to the left, turns back, and up the middle he finds some room. David Mirza gets it up to the Saskatchewan 39. Well, their first drive, they got a field goal. They'll go to work again when we come back. The scoreboard shows Saskatchewan 3, Concordia nothing. It could just as easily have been 7. Drop ball in the end zone on the first drive of the green and white. This is their 2nd drive. And so far, for the most part, they've been able to move that ball at will through the air against Concordia. From their 38, 1st and 10. Rosen with it. Up the middle, and not a bad gain of about 5 yards to the 43.
It's interesting coming in here, Rob, what Saskatchewan want to try and do against Concordia. Concordia like to play a lot of man coverage. Now, man coverage is predicated on getting to the quarterback, and we saw what great protection they had last week for Ryan Reed in the pocket. And so they want to try to get them out of playing man coverage a lot. They'd rather them play kind of zone, something that they don't really play well. Now, Pat Sheehan wants to stay with man. He feels he has the athletes on defense that can do it, but they have to get to the quarterback and force him to throw the ball early.
Played his first year of college ball at American River College in Sacramento before transferring up to the U of S where his father played. Late 60s, early 70s. Over the middle, Reed finds a man. And a first down Saskatchewan. And once again, that man is 5th-year slot back Garrett Rennie, who was a part of the team in '94, although he did not press for the Vanier Cup that year.
You know, Ryan Reed is playing with such confidence right now. You know, we saw it last week. He had all day to throw, made really good decisions. He just gets back there, looks right down the field, and hits Garrett Rennie for the first down. You know, he really came of age, Ryan Reed, they say this year, against UBC in a game where they were behind, and he drove them 90 yards in the last 2 minutes of the game in a driving rainstorm to throw the winning touchdown pass for Saskatchewan to win that game.
Garrett Rennie, an All-Canadian 2 years ago when U of S last won the Vanier. Early movement on the line, flags down. It's whistled dead as the ball is snapped.
Talking about Ryan Reed being at American River College. He was also recruited by a number of U.S. schools, in particular Washington State. And he told us last week that when he went there Ryan Reed told us last week that as he looks at the offside against Saskatchewan, he told us last week that he went to Washington State on a recruiting trip. He roomed with Ryan Leaf, who's now a quarterback with the San Diego Chargers. Didn't have a lot of great things to say about Ryan Leaf, though.
Ryan Leaf finding it pretty tough inaugural season in the National Football League with San Diego. This Ryan having a great year, but not a great gain on 1st and 15. Concordia up front. There's Jason Casey, 23, Dwayne Bromfield in there as well.
And this is what Concordia love to play on defense. Look how many guys they got up here sniffing the ball. They're all going to try and take care of a gap. Bromfield gets in, forces Rosen to try and go to that A gap to the right side, and it's David Bromfield who comes up with the tackle. He was the President's Trophy nominee, the most valuable defensive player in the OQIFC this past season, and a tremendously athletic linebacker.
Dwayne Bromfield in his 4th year. The guy he lost out to happened to be with the U of S in the President's Trophy voting, and he's Warren Muzica, who I'm sure we'll see of a lot today as well. Reed sets up the screen. They have it covered and wrapped up. And Concordia's defense stiffens on this Saskatchewan drive. It'll be 3rd down.
See, there again, we see Concordia playing some man defense, and that time Bromfield was hooked up man-to-man on Doug Rosen. Rosen kind of sliding out, trying to get that little slip screen out there. You can see Bromfield comes up, forces it back inside. And McLean Stevenson makes the tackle.
Bromfield, Jeff Anderson, the heart and soul of that Concordia D, and Matt Kellett came along in 1996 when Saskatchewan didn't have much of a kicking game. He has been great. 2nd team All-Canadian. The punting average really improving in the playoffs as well. That one is short, however, and bounces out. In Concordia territory inside the 30-yard line. So the Stingers, after a 30-yard punt, will go to work again. Oh, and there's a Vanier Cup veteran, Warren Muzica, in his 5th year, and a part of a great front 7 for Saskatchewan. Another one, former Metris winner, number 44, James Rapesi up front. It's been a great defense so far this season.
And the secondary led by Mike Stewart, a corner who's starting in his 3rd Vanier Cup. Beasley the other corner, Albers, Weber at halfback, and Colin Dutton at safety.
Stewart, Rapesi, and Muzica, all starters in the 1994 Vanier, and of course again in 96. On 1st down, Kronemeyer throws. It's complete. Christopher Svetkovic with the football, and with a Concordia 1st down, their 1st on the day, and it's up at the Stinger 42.
And Christopher Svetkovic is the 5th receiver in this Concordia passing attack. Comes down and just does the out. Warren Muzica coming across here to try and make the tackle. Does a nice job of turning back inside, getting his shoulders square, getting up the field, and getting a 1st down.
In his 2nd year, he's got size, as you can see, 6'2", 220. Kronemeyer. Evan Davis Jr. And a short gain. He gets up across the 45 for a team that has been running option a lot heading into this game. We haven't seen it yet.
They're really throwing a curve to Saskatchewan right now as Evan Davis Jr. kind of run right out of the I formation, try to run that isolation. Take the fullback onto the linebacker, but you know, one guy who really plays well, you know, we always hear about Warren Muzica, of course, but Trevor Lutke at middle linebacker is truly exceptional as well.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Kronemeyer for Dave Spence. They say no good, and it was right around 1st down territory, so the Stingers will have to punt again.
And these are the kind of plays that Concordia has to capitalize on here. You see Dave Spence outside there with Christopher Svetkovic. You're trying to run a little rub there. Or in layman's terms, I guess we're running a pick. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to do it. But that's what they're trying to do. And Pat Gia not happy. I mean, you have to come up with those kind of catches. And David Spence is an experienced player. Was in scholarship at Idaho State University before he came back home and went to Concordia University. You see Dave Miller-Johnson back again. Had a very good 1st punt, 44 yards.
Well above his average this year, which in the regular season was at 38. Dropped down even lower in the playoffs. He stands at his 35 to get it away. This is a beauty. Nice spiral chasing Mirza back to his 10. And they have him down at his 20, so pretty good coverage on a long punt. Jason Casey with the tackle.
And you know what's so great about that punt is that the amount of height that he got underneath that thing. I mean, he allowed his coverage team to get down there and do a good job on covering Dave Mirza, who averages close to 13 yards per return.
That's a 54-yard punt to go with a 44-yarder earlier, a 10-yard return. And Ryan Reed is with his offense a little further back towards their end zone, starting at the 20. They've had good field position so far in this game.
And Ryan Reed certainly has the genes. His father, Barry, was a All-Canadian receiver for the Saskatchewan Huskies back in the late 1960s.
An injured player on the field, Martin Anderson. Part of the punt coverage for Concordia. Another fifth-year player. And every year you see it. On both teams, the fifth-year guys, especially the ones that haven't won a championship before, how meaningful this game becomes. Because it's their last game one way or another. You talked about Ryan Reed and his father Barry, and I believe the quarterback, we talked about it last week, happened to be Larry Haler of the U of S, and Haler just yesterday named the CIAU Coach of the Year, Frank Tindall Trophy winner for the second time. First and 10, Huskies from their 20. Handoff to Rosen, has room in the middle, and he pulls his way up their first down yardage.
You know, last week we really couldn't get a great indication of what a good back Doug Rosen really is, because I mean the holes were so wide open. But this week, take a look at him. I mean, he has to make some really good moves here. I mean, there's some guys that are unblocked. And you take a look at Jeff Anderson, who's no slouch. He was a former All-Canadian, number 99, the top of your screen. Doug Rosen freezes him. There's a two-step jump and then cuts back inside. Makes a lot of guys miss. Sign of a great back. Play with the Vancouver Island Sharks in Vancouver Island, British Columbia.
And one of the few on this team who is not from Saskatchewan. Most of this talent is homegrown. It looks like we have an offside flag down. Early movement on the defense of the Concordia Stingers. And it looked like number 42, Graham Burns.
That was Graham Burns. They're trying to come on a blitz off the corner in the bottom of your screen, number 42. You got to look at the ball. Don't look at the backfield. It gets influenced by the back. Doug Rosen starting to go out, taking a run pitch. You know, it's funny with both of these teams. They have a starting lineup, but they have such great depth. We see a lot of
first down repeated.
First down for Saskatchewan, but they have such great depth. We see them rotate people throughout the game. They don't think they lose very much by that. They keep all their players fresh, and especially at this time of the year when you played outside all year long, when you come back into this environment, it's 75 degrees in here, it's very dry. It's good to spell your players.
And Towers knows all about it from previous trips. On a 1st and 5 with the offside, Concordia, it's complete. Todd Linden, the big fullback, puts his head down and gets a few more yards. They're across midfield into Stinger territory. First down, Huskies on a gain of 23.
This is really well. This is great coaching by Saskatchewan. They run play-action pass, and it's such an integral part of their offense. They get lone dome, looking up, trying to look back in the backfield. Looked like he came, he froze him, and then Linden gets behind him. It's Malinchuk going by, and then defender Sean Gordon has to come up and try and make the tackle, and along with Dwayne Bromfield.
Tougher task for a corner when it happens to be a fullback out there coming down on you. There's the counter. We talked about it before. Doug Rosen, good gain. And that's another first down for the Huskies, I believe, about the 42-yard line.
Take a look at the run-around counter. They're going to bring both these guys over, but what happened right now is that you've got Saskatchewan or Concordia playing a game. They're all coming in here, so actually the play is perfectly run here.
Another nice big ball for Saskatchewan on that left side. As Jamie indicated in our pregame show, that was the play early on that gave them the early lead against the Western Mustangs 7-0 at Griffin Stadium last week. A 49-yarder, and they wound up with a lot of yardage for Mr. Rosen that day.
Well, you see, I think that's great scouting on behalf of film analysis by Saskatchewan, because they probably know that in that kind of a situation, second down and long, they're playing to the short side of the field, that Concordia like to come with a blitz or a stunt on the wide side. So what they did is they ran away from that, and they caught them.
It's Towers and Pat Sheehan look on, and what is a second and very short.
Pat Sheehan telling his players, watch the play action pass, because this is the perfect time in which to run.
We got two.
Just inches away at the Stinger 42. Saskatchewan leading 3-0. And there is the pass looking for Malinchuk, out of his hands. Had it, couldn't hang on. And it's the second time we've seen a potential big play for the Huskies go awry because the receiver couldn't catch the football.
That was a perfectly thrown pass. Threw it high, let the receiver adjust to it. There's a nice move escaping from the line of scrimmage. Gets by Sean Gordon, who's the fastest stinger. Gordon misses it right in Malinchuk's hands. That would have been 6 points. Beautifully thrown.
And given his position, you might say another Husky touchdown denied by a drop. Short yardage. The quarterback is Jason Crum, the short yardage quarterback. We saw this last week. Crum, in fact, with 6 touchdowns on the season, filling in for Reed, all in short yardage.
Well, he's the second leading scorer on that Husky team, and he's not a starter. Just comes in on the 1-yard goal line plunge, a quarterback sneak, and then comes out. Had a big reception earlier in this game.
Versatility is the key as he comes off, and number 11, Ryan Reed, comes back on.
I always look at that because, you know, Ryan Reed's not a small guy. He's a big guy. He's 6'2", over 200 pounds.
And he's 5 for 7 for 77 yards. And the 2 incompletions, you really couldn't fault him for. They were drops. A handoff, and no gain. Stuffed by Concordia. It was Tony Chad, the backup, tailed back in. As you look at Paul Chesser and his defense, McLean Stevenson, please hold the mash jokes, Jamie.
Yeah, that's what it says in the media guide. Does a nice job of getting inside leverage in that gap, forcing the left tackle, Kevin Lefsrud, not able to get him. You know, he's not that big, McLean Stevenson, only 5'10", 220 pounds, so he uses his quickness.
And born in 1976 when MASH was at its peak, they have to wonder. His parents were MASH fans. I think he's tired of all the talk, I'm sure. I wonder if he watches the rerun. His favorite show's Home Improvement. And Concordia's favorite play, defensively, is getting to the quarterback like they do here. Ryan Reed gets buried way back near midfield.
Well, we said they like to play man coverage, and when you're playing man, when you come with a blitz, you got to get to the QB. They bring Bronco, they pick him up, but they run a little game, and then bring Jason Casey as well, number 23. You see a whole host of them in there. That's also Jeff Anderson as well. These guys are very athletic on defense. Now, Ryan Reed that time, you know, he looked to his primary receiver. He didn't have enough time to come back to the secondary receiver.
Matt Kellett's first punt was not a good one. He will stand at his 42. This one is much better driving. Dave Spence taking it on his 5. Spence gets up across the 15 to about the 17-yard line after a 48-yard punt and a return of 12. John Kronemeyer is in business again when we come back. 2:06 until quarter time here at Sky Dome. Let's go down to the Concordia sideline and join David Amber. David.
Thanks, Rod. Joining me is the president of Concordia University, Dr. Frederick Lowy. President, what do you think of your team's first time here?
We're always very proud of our team, and today we're especially proud of them.
And what you got to like your chances right now. You came in as huge underdogs, but your team's playing really well, especially defensively.
Well, we're hanging in there, and I think in the end we're going to do all right. It takes a lot of heart to be here, and we got a lot of heart.
Thank you very much. Looking for another Quebec miracle like the one in 1987. Back to you, Rod.
Thank you, David. Referring to McGill winning it when Pat Sheehan was an assistant for them over UBC. Big play here, but once again a drop. Hugo Carrier couldn't hang on. And that was around midfield. On first down, we have had 3 drop balls here today.
I'll tell you what, the quarterbacks, both Kronemeyer and Reed, maybe want to get together and talk about this and say, what's wrong with our receivers today? Because they're certainly putting the ball right to the money, and that is just a case of not concentrating and tucking the ball away. I mean, you got to make those kind of plays in big games, no question about it. And you're only going to get one chance to catch it. You can't bobble it because the defenders are so good they're going to get to you right away and knock it away.
A case of nerves, you'd have to think, because the conditions in here, of course, are kept perfect for receivers. Barring maybe the lights and another drop, Jim Wood, first attempt to him. And he can't hang on, so the Stingers go 2 and out. You cannot fault this guy, number 3, John Kronemeyer.
I think Pat Sheehan and Brian Towers are going to want to look at those footballs and say, what, are they covered with grease? Because no one seems to be able to hold on to it right now. And quarterbacks are doing a real good job of putting the ball in the money. Again, you know, he wants to throw, waits a little bit here because the linebacker's there, and then he puts it right on the money. I mean, that's a very good pass.
Colin Dutton with the coverage, but not batting it away or anything. It was a catchable football again. So Concordia equals Saskatchewan in drop passes, although the ones to the Huskies were far more costly. Both should have been touchdowns, really, as you see David Mirza back for this punt. And the Huskies should have good field position. He's up around his 44. And the snap is low. Miller Johnston will get it away. Another nice spiral. And that's where Mirza takes it at his 44. David Mirza slipping and going down at the 52 after a 50-yard punt. Great day of punting so far for Miller Johnston, and a good thing for his team. The Huskies, however, will have good field position to work with this time at their 52.
You know, for Brian Towers right now on offense, I mean, he thinks that his team probably should be up here 14-0 right now. And Ryan Reed, it's his job right now to keep everybody positive, saying, hey, listen, we dropped some balls, we made some mistakes, but we're going to keep coming back, keep pulling the trigger. This is almost similar against Western a week ago when Saskatchewan had a real chance to kind of put them away early, and they didn't, and then the game became close until the fourth quarter. I'm sure Brian Towers does not want the same thing to happen today's game. He'd like to get this one away early if he could. They came in here as 14.5-point favorites, as some people set the line. And he knows that the longer that this game goes and Concordia stay close, Concordia's going to continue to get more confidence.
Absolutely. We should point out, however, that Towers' Huskies were favorites 2 years ago against St. FX. The score at the half were the X-Men leading 12-0. They led 12-10 at three-quarter time before Saskatchewan and Brett Schneider finally got it going, and they won it going away, 31-12. This one is caught by Jason Sauls on first down, and he has another first down across midfield. And to the Concordia 47, first catch of the day for number 77, Sauls.
And he's been a great addition to this Husky football team, you know, coming out of junior football in his first year this year. Real nice job, and a great block here by Malinchuk, number 18. Good block right there, and actually lets Sauls get outside and get up and get the first down. But Sauls comes into this game with a 23-yard average. I mean, he's a guy that they like to go to down the field. Pretty good numbers in the playoff game, 6 catches, 74 yards, and of course that touchdown.
Saskatchewan averaging over 7 yards on first down. Play action fake complete. There's another first down. And it's Jarrett Rennie with his third catch of the day. Inside the Concordia 25. Huskies will be in scoring position again.
This is when Ryan Reed goes back in the huddle and just gives everybody on the offensive line a real pat in the head. There is nobody close to him. And they run Rennie coming across the middle, and of course Jarrett Rennie, an All-Canadian 1996. Again, kind of playing zone defense, and that's not really what Concordia like to play. They'd rather play much more of a man scheme and come after the quarterback.
This drive started just shy of midfield. They're inside the 25 now. Under pressure, they've got him. Wayne Dunn with the sack.
There's Paul Chester, the defensive coordinator. But you can see this time, this is how Concordia like to play. They like to get 8 men up front here. Look at everybody in there, and then they run that little stunt there. They bring the linebackers. Saskatchewan initially do a pretty good job of picking it up, but they don't sustain the blocks. And when Reed can't go to the initial receiver, when he tries to turn back and look at the second receiver, he can't find him, he gets sacked. And that's Wayne Dunn down on the ground, the defensive lineman.
Wayne Dunn, in his first year, it could have been his third, but he suffered a broken neck in an auto accident 2 years ago. And that's where they are looking right now after that sack. Concordia still trailing Saskatchewan only by 3 after 1. This is Wayne Dunn, live now on the sideline, walked off on his own after being hit in the head. I mentioned, Jamie, he'd had a broken neck. It didn't look like a neck injury.
No, it didn't here. I think you see his own player come over and actually catches a knee in the side of his helmet. And after he gets up initially, but you know, now all the brain cells are starting to scatter, and I think he realizes, oh, I've been knocked in the head, and he just kind of goes down on one knee to get himself clear. And looks like he'll be back in this football game. He's all right.
Dunn was in an automobile accident 2 years ago and suffered a broken neck. Made a remarkable comeback last year, but didn't have the confidence to play university ball. So the junior ball instead.
You know, we talk a lot about Saskatchewan having a lot of ex-junior players, but so do Concordia. They have a lot from the St. Leonard's Cougars, which is part of the Ontario Football League, the Quebec Minor or Major Junior Football League.
Wayne Dunn at the sack, though. A loss of 12 yards, 2nd and 22, and they run the draw to Rosen, and he is not going very far. So with a flag down, depending on what that flag is, it's a field goal situation for Saskatchewan.
I think Saskatchewan's going to get called for a hold here, and they're going to be looking down. I think they're going to try and take him back and keep him out of field goal range. I think that's what I would probably do if I was Pat Sheehan.
Holding, number 65, Saskatchewan.
Number 65, Glenn Carson called for holding on that play to Jeff Anderson.
Just take a look at left your screen. Number 99 does a really good job of the swim move, and then coming in there, you can see he's actually tackling him. That's not a hole, that's a tackle. You can't do that, son.
If there's no gain here, it would be a 52-yard attempt for Matt Kellett as long as the year is 50. So a good call by Sheehan and the Stingers to push Saskatchewan back further. 2nd down and forever. Anderson makes it a non-issue, getting through and sacking Ryan Reed close to midfield.
Jeff Anderson was a Metris nominee in 1997 for the most outstanding lineman in the country. Does a real good job. Bang. Hits Carson and then sheds him off and gets into the gap and does a real nice job of getting to the quarterback. He was an All-Canadian a year ago, was not recognized as even an All-Conference player this year, which had defensive coordinator Paul Chester kind of shaking his head in disbelief. When you certainly see him play the way he's playing today, you can understand why he was a All-Canadian. 3 sacks.
For 30 yards and losses, and for all the talk about Saskatchewan's front 7, Concordia's front has been pretty brilliant in the pass rushing as well. So Kellett will have to punt, gets it away from his 50. This is a laser. Chasing Dave Spence into the end zone. Looks like you can perhaps chalk up another point, or no, he runs it out. Dave Spence, one man to beat. Taken down at the Concordia 40. What a return for Spence.
We saw 2 great plays here. We saw a super punt. Look how deep he is in the end zone here. He's 15 yards deep. Does a good job of trying to get it out. And once he breaks that contain, now it's down the sidelines. Matt Kellett does a good job of forcing him back inside. And Tony Chad has to make the tackle. He's a backup running back. See the kind of speed that Dave Spence has. Matt Kellett plays it properly. Uses the sideline to his advantage.
63-yard punt and a 52-yard return. And on 1st down around their 40, Stingers handing off to John Ashworth, his first carry of this day. First quarter stats, well, on the scoreboard, it certainly could have favored Saskatchewan a lot more because some of the other items, in particular, the passing yardage, Jamie, favor the Huskies.
And they would have been probably over 200 yards passing if Malinchuk and also Doug Rosen hadn't dropped 2 beautiful passes thrown by Ryan Reed.
So Concordia in this 2nd quarter find themselves in a pretty good position, down by only 3 points. The shotgun snap to Kronemeyer to the side. It's complete. And a 1st down for the Stingers. Evan Davis Jr. with the catch. And they're up near midfield.
Well, they empty the backfield out and go with 4 receivers to the left-hand side, and they're going to run this little slip screen over here to Evan Davis Jr. who normally is a tailback. They have it set up the wall. Beasley forces it back inside, but Evan Davis Jr. does a good job of getting it up for the 1st down. And, you know, he's one of the players from Concordia's side who's familiar with this building. He played here in the 1992 Metro Bowl with West Hill when his team won it. Was the most valuable player in that game.
Kronemeyer passing. It is intercepted. Yes, Curtis Albers has the interception, went down, and they blow it dead right away. But there's a turnover, and Saskatchewan will take over at their 38-yard line.
Now, you know what, John? Kronemeyer coming in here. One of the things I know that Pat Sheehan probably told him to do is, you know, play the game the way we want it right here. Don't force anything, and don't hurt us. I mean, don't play conservatively, but you can't hurt us today. You've got to come out and make some plays.
Looked like that one was intended for 84 Hugo Carriere and overthrown.
Well, I think he misread that. There's a mix-up there because Carriere turned around on the hook and he threw it over his head.
So a good break for the Huskies now. side, no room. A lot of stingers stacked up there. Dunn back in the game. And Drummond. And McLean Stevenson in there, and Sam Toussaint as well.
I'll tell you, Paul Chester's done a great job with this defense this year, and we talked about the quickness of Concordia's front seven, the front eight. There's a fumble, and they're giving it to...
Hey, defense!
There was some Concordia celebration going on, although only half of the defense started to leave the field, and see some offensive players coming on.
It was going dead.
Continue to discuss it.
That's an inadvertent whistle, if nothing else.
We have a referee's inadvertent whistle. The down will be replayed.
An inadvertent whistle by the referee, so they'll replay the down.
That's beautiful. Hey!
Trying to run counter sweep. And the ball pops loose. There was a fumble on the play, but the referee blew it dead earlier, an inadvertent whistle. So Concordia do not get the ball back. Huge break for Saskatchewan.
I think it's going to be for Christian Cote, 29 of Concordia, picking it up.
We have an inadvertent whistle. The down will be 2. Second down, 2.
So an inadvertent whistle being called on that one.
Why is it second down?
Play will be repeated.
Leave the play.
It is 2nd and 9. Saskatchewan. Concordia thought it had a turnover, but no. Still Ryan Reed and the Huskies with it in a 2nd and long situation, up by 3. 11:32 to go until halftime. Over the middle. Deflected and nearly picked off by Jason Casey. And there was another possible big play, but it was dropped.
That's probably the first bad pass we've seen Ryan Reed throw this afternoon. Again, they're manned up again, and the ball's thrown a little bit high here. Now watch Casey, does a good job, but he starts to turn his head to go up the field to see how he's going to run with it. You've got to secure it. Right here. Looks like he's got the ball, and then he turns and looks up before he secures it. And it's just a very basic fundamental of tucking the ball away and watching it into your arm to be tucked away.
Now, in fairness, could you say this is a little more forgivable here?
Oh, no question, because he's not a receiver. I mean, he's a guy, but, again, it comes down to fundamentals.
Sure, and also after a deflection, having to turn around.
Sure.
But still, could have been another big play for Concordia. Another good punt from Matt Kelly. Dave Spence had a great return. 52-yarder the last time out of the end zone. This one only picks up a yard or two. Concordia will go to work after a 48-yard punt and a 6-yard return, trailing by 3. It's been a frustrating Vanier for both quarterbacks in this game because of drop balls by the receivers.
No question, and I think Ryan Reed would be frustrated. The first one, Doug Rosen, sure touchdown, just kind of goes right through the basket. And the next one to Derek Malinchuk, has his man beat. This is a sure 6. Can't hold it, can't find the trigger. And then Concordia, they throw it down to Hugh Carriere down the seam. This one looks like it could go for 6 as well. Can't find the handle, the ball's on the ground.
And following that play, John Kronemeyer threw one to Jim Wood, number 15, who dropped the ball. 2 drop balls on that drive, and then we saw Jason Case, who made a nice defensive play but couldn't hang on what would have been an interception. Looking deep. Sylvain Girard, does he have it? Yes, he does. There's a big catch in great coverage by Mike Beasley, and a big first down for Concordia, gain of 34.
Sylvain Girard could be really the difference in this game for Concordia if they hope to win it. He had a game this year where he had 5 touchdown receptions, setting an OQIFC record. But what a great job of body position. He jumps up and he makes sure that he's in front of him. We took a look, 20 catches in the regular season, 9 touchdowns, really incredible.
And he had 5 touchdowns in one game against Laval, October the 3rd. The hitch, complete. And no gain. That one thrown out to Evan Davis. He might have even lost a foot or so on that first down. It'll be 2nd and long.
And look who's making the tackle, Warren Musica. Everybody talks about Warren Musica saying, big, tough, strong. What I know he mentions, and it's probably his greatest attribute, is his quickness and speed. I mean, he covers his range from sideline to sideline is absolutely phenomenal.
Last year, a nominee, a runner-up for the President's Trophy as top defensive player in Canada. This year, he won it, beating out, among others, Concordia's Greg Rumfield. After the high shotgun snap, Kronemeyer completes it. Girard again, the go-to go-to guy gets another. It's inside the Saskatchewan 30. First down, Stingers on the move.
Well, Kronemeyer does a good job of escaping contain. They have a high snap right off the bat. Doesn't see his man open. He gets outside. There's no contain. The worst thing a defensive coordinator hates to see. Does a really good job of not trying to rifle the ball, just laying it out there for Sylvain Girard to make the catch.
Girard, 3 catches, 51 yards, and 2 big ones on this drive. Stingers are in scoring position. Muzica chasing Kronemeyer, who has to run out of bounds and nearly takes a hit on his way. Couldn't find anything open, so it'll be second down.
I'll tell you, there'd be a surge of adrenaline if you're a quarterback out there and you have this guy trying to hunt you down. And like John Kronemeyer just kind of picked it up a little bit faster here when he saw number 47 tracking him down. Did the smart thing, get out of bounds. You see Trevor Lukey coming across as well, and did a good job by Lukey too, not to hit him. 6 feet, 210 pounds, plays like a 240-pounder the way he hits, but like a 170-pounder the way he runs.
From the 28, Kronemeyer, carrier, can't hang on. Took a hit from Curtis Albers, but once again, it was a catchable ball.
And you're only going to get one chance to catch it. You know, Saskatchewan's defensive backs are pretty physical. Curtis Albers is right there to make the play. Again, we're running a little route coming across the middle. Albers comes up. Does a good job of even putting his hands in there, but you've got to make these catches. You've got to extend your arms out and get the ball at its highest point and secure it in your hand. You cannot wait for it to come into your body.
Albers, in his first year from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Here comes Dave Miller-Johnston, the hero of the Atlantic Bowl and the MVP in that game with a 45-yard clutch field goal that won it for the Stingers over the Acadia Axemen. This attempt to come from the 35, well within his range. From the hash mark on the right to tie the game. And we do have a tie in the 1998 Vanier Cup. Approaching the midway point of the second quarter, Pat Sheehan might even have reason to crack a smile. Back after this. The team in green and white would have reason to think it should be up by more, or at least up in this second quarter. Instead, it's a tie game after a 35-yard field goal by Concordia's Dave Miller-Johnston. You know, Ryan Reed has had a good day at quarterback, but they don't have the points to show for it. They'll go again, throwing again. Looking to his left, it's complete. And it's Kelly McNairn on the receiving end with a flag on the play across the 40.
It's going to be offside Concordia, I believe. It Wayne Dunn, number 91. Left defensive end, came across a little bit too soon.
Offside. 91 Concordia. First down repeated. First down.
Penalty against Dunn, and make it 1st and 5 now.
And they teach a defensive lineman at the bottom of your screen to see him jump. You have to look at the ball. You can't go in anybody else's.
Huskies at their 40. The handoff. Bromfield is there to greet Doug Rosen and prevent a first down.
Wayne Bromfield comes in, who we said is the OQIFC nominee for Defensive Player of the Year. You can see why. An all-Canadian linebacker. The thing with great hitters, one thing you notice about them, Rod, is they're always in proper position in which to make the hit. They're never off balance. They always have their shoulders square. Make sure their legs are underneath them. They accelerate right up through the hit.
You don't often see a middle linebacker wearing number 7. He told us 2 weeks ago that it's for his mother, her favorite number 7. Easy to recognize him. And easy to recognize him again as he goes in and sticks Todd Linden. Good defensive work by the Stingers. However, it was short yardage. And it looks like a first down on that second and short. Yes, the sticks do move, so the drive will continue for Saskatchewan across their 45. There is an experienced coach.
Brian Towers, his team's record 8-2 coming into this year. Only 2 losses in the season. 1 to UBC last game of the season. And also to Alberta.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Huskies. Reed passing again. It's in behind his intended receiver, Jason Crum. So it'll be 2nd down.
And you can see a little bit now here how the rush is starting to affect the passing game, even though they're running it short here. As Derek Malinchuk, the ball is thrown to his outside. He's trying to come in. You know, the rush now is starting to get to Ryan Reed a little bit, so now he's trying to hurry a little bit, trying to throw the ball a little bit sooner than he'd like to. But he can't really get into that nice, comfortable rhythm that he's had.
75% passer in the playoffs. And 7 for 11 so far in this day. Here comes his 12th attempt. And overthrown. Looking for Kelly McNairn. Good coverage. Incomplete and 3rd down.
And there's the case again. He's getting flushed out of the pocket. He has to kind of run to his left, try to turn. Can't get his feet set properly. Tough to make a real accurate throw. But, you know, one thing I like about Paul Chester's defense and what he's doing, and even though I hated it when I was a player as a quarterback, is that he blitzes people in your face. He wants you as a quarterback to know that it's coming. And that you got to think about that when you're coming back. You're dropping back.
You got turf toe?
Matt Kellett standing inside is 35 to get this one away. He's had a great day punting the football after his first punt went for only 30 yards. He's had a couple of beauties, and here is another one. This time it's Gerard taking it inside his 5. Chased all that way back. Good coverage. Down he goes. Hardly got anything on that return. Trevor Lukey, after a 58-yarder, limits Gerard to only 6 yards on the return. Concordia ball when we come back. You talk about Vanier Cup experience. Look at this. The Huskies have 5 who dressed for the 94 Vanier Cup 4 years ago, including, of course, Rapesi and Musica. With more, let's head down to the Husky sideline now, and Darren Atition. Darren.
Hey, thank you very much, Rod. Also a member of that 1994 team was Dr. George Imany. He's been the president of the U of S for the last decade, and you're retiring after this year. I'm sure that you'd obviously like to go out a winner.
I'd like to go out with a 3-2 win. All the guys back there at Louis and McGuire's want me to have a 3-2 win when I leave.
We're standing on the sidelines, and you're feeling pretty nervous, and you have reason to be.
Well, these are the kinds of games we've been in all year. Last game was an anomaly with over 500 yards. The kinds of defenses we face with UBC and Calgary are much more like this one.
Well, let's see what the Saskatchewan D can do, Rod.
Okay, thank you, Darren. On the fake, Kronemeyer airs it out for Gerard. He's got it. Another big catch still going. Midfield. Sylvain Gerard. What a game he's been having as he's taken out about the Saskatchewan 52.
You know, they're just trying to play that game out there. They're putting Sylvain Gerard against Mike Beasley. Now, Beasley is not the fastest defensive back. That's Mike Stewart, so they got a bit of a mismatch over here. And you can see it. Throws the ball high and outside, allows him to adjust to it. Does a good job of making the catch, and then has the wherewithal to get up the field again afterwards. Nice step here, step in front of Beasley, gets up the field, and Colin Dutton has to come over and make the tackle.
Concordia likes the big play, and they've been using it so far. Another one. Here's a handoff. Richard Gabaton. His first carry of the day. A reserve running back gets the first down. By the looks of things, are very close to it. Had to get to the 41.
And even though he's a reserve running back, he did have 61 carries this year, and they like him because of his quickness. See, they were trying to run draw to that side, and then he's got the wherewithal to take it back to the right-hand side. Gain of 8.
Actually 8 yards because they spotted back at the 43, but still a good gain on first down. Pretty good yards per carry, although he doesn't get a lot of them. Hasn't had a lot of them this season. A 2nd and 2. Concordia at the Huskies 43-yard line. The toss again to Gabaton. And it looks like he's short of the first down.
This would be an interesting decision right here, what Pat Sheehan decides to do. Because they are within field goal range for Dave Miller-Johnson, and he's trying to look at how close he is to the first down, where he is exactly on the field, how far it's going to have to be. It's the option, but Warren Musica does a good job. First of all, they take the quarterback, and once Musica come down here and make the tackle. You know, that's exactly what you want from your linebacker, that ability to scrape down the line of scrimmage, maintain your leverage, and you meet the running back at the line of scrimmage. And they have decided to try a field goal here as they bring out Dave Miller-Johnson.
Ball sits in the 43. So it would require a 50-yarder. That is within the range of Miller-Johnston. At a 35-yard field goal earlier in this quarter to tie the game. Toronto Argonauts drafted him, but ultimately they went with Noel Prefontaine instead. They fake it. Kronemeyer with it. Mike Stewart's on him. Gets it away. It's incomplete. They try the fake. Mike Stewart read it.
I don't think that's a called fake. I think there was a mistake there. You can see Miller-Johnson looks like he's very surprised at the fact that he was running it.
Johnson, as you can see, is quite upset about it.
Let's take a look at the snap here. Looks like it's pinned well. Looks like it is a fake. Miller-Johnson didn't seem to know what was going on, and now you have Dan Stewart. We just talked about him being one of the fastest players in Saskatchewan. Kronemeyer's not going to outrun him. No, that's a fake all the way. There wasn't even an attempt to pin the ball or even to feign it. He wanted to try and spin out and dump it, but they didn't really have anybody out there.
Well, it looked like confusion between the kicker and the holder there as to what should have happened. Rosen with the carry, but I'm wondering if they're discussing a route that Miller-Johnson was supposed to run.
Well, you know, sometimes maybe they don't tell the kicker because they want him to come through and just make it look like he's going to kick the ball, and they might not have told him. You know, you don't see kickers that animated usually. He's really ticked off. Maybe he thinks it's a lack of confidence in his kicking ability or something, but...
Well, he's the only one that looks surprised, so, yeah, that looks like the more logical thing. Everyone else, I guess, knew it was coming. To make it more believable, he just had no one to throw to and had Mike Stewart in his face. Second down, 6 to go. Ryan Reed over the middle, Jarrett Rennie. Ever reliable Rennie, first down Saskatchewan inside the Concordia 40.
Brian Towers would be telling his offensive line when they come off, you know, if you give Ryan Reed a chance to sit back there in the pocket and throw, we're going to win this football game. He goes to the right, he's looking to Linden initially, he's covered out in the flat. I mean, great heads-up play here. You know, the other thing I like about him is he gets himself into position to make the throw. He never kind of moves his head around and has his body not in the proper position. Always gets his downfield shoulder pointed towards the target. And he spreads it around to a lot of people. Look at all the receptions. Jarrett Rennie, McNair, and Schultz, of course. High numbers.
Inside the 40. Handoff Rosen. Good haul. Good gain. Rosen, first down and more. They finally get him down at the Concordia 15.
That's their bread and butter play at Saskatchewan. That counter sweep again. Okay, they have both Carson and they have both Flory going to come out here. They're going to give the ball to Rosen. You see the guard kicks out, tackle pulls through here. He's got his personal escort, and Doug Rosen just puts on the speed and does a nice job of switching the ball. You always want to carry the ball in your outside hand. Sorry, Rod, you run on left, carry it left.
Gain at 24. Christian Cote finally brought him down along with Bromfield. So first down. Huskies in business. It's caught inside the 10. Inside the 10, they've got to get to the 6 for another first down.
And Saskatchewan have done a pretty good job here of picking up the blitz. Again, they've had the greatest success throwing the ball inside, and that's why. It's because you're trying to come with those people inside. You don't have to worry about any of the underneath coverage inside. We said earlier that the blitz in the quarterback's face, that leaves that gap in there between the offensive and defensive line and the secondary.
Paul Chesser, the defensive coordinator for the Stingers, looks on with concern now. His defense, always known for bending but not breaking. They can't bend much more now. Second down. Reed, complete. Touchdown, Huskies. Todd Linden has the first major of the day. Saskatchewan has a lead again. a 7-point lead. It is through, and it is indeed. Huskies 10, Stingers 3. Just under 2 minutes to go until halftime.
And you know, Rob, we're going to look right here. That's Dwayne Bromfield. Now, you know what? In pass coverage, he's going to be man on the tailback. But watching the run play-action pass here, he gets stuck up hard inside. He's looking, he thinks it's run, 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 and now it's not. He's got to get out there, and actually it's Todd Linden who's his man, and Linden gets it into the end zone. It's a real good scheme that Saskatchewan used to try to freeze Bromfield. Don't allow him to get out there man-on-man on your running back with a run and play-action pass, because he has to sit back and look at the back and try and read and see whether the tailback's got the ball or not.
Just over 2 minutes, 5 plays, 68 yards. Big plays down the field. Jared Rennie, and good run by Doug Rosen, a 24-yarder to help set this one up. The first touchdown of the game for that man, Todd Linden from Regina. The kickoff from Kellett. And that'll draw a flag. Out of bounds it goes just inside the Concordia 20. They'll have to kick it again.
You know, the amazing thing when this happened, the coach just shakes his head because you know how hard that is to do. You got a big wide field, 65 yards wide.
It's a Canadian field.
They kick the ball out of bounds in the air.
Down to the Saskatchewan sideline now. Once again, Darren Detition.
Hey, thanks very much, Rod. Todd, things were getting a little tight here on the Husky sideline until that touchdown. Then there was just an outpouring of emotion.
Yeah, you know, well, we got to keep going strong here. We had a little bit of a slowdown there from the first quarter. We were moving the ball pretty well, and then we finally got something going again, so hopefully we can keep it going.
All right, thanks very much. Rod?
Thank you, Darren. And yes, Todd Linden did have another catch earlier in the day in the first quarter, but that second one was bigger. Because of a new rule in the CIAU, after a kickoff goes out of bounds, the receiving team has the option to take it on their 40, and Pat Sheehan and the Stingers did exercise that.
Side of your screen, Trevor Looking, number 45 for Saskatchewan, does a real good job again. You know, one of the great things about Looking that I think is when he fumbled the ball and actually got it back, but one of the great things about Trevor Looking is his ability to read and react. I mean, he never gets caught. He just instantly recognizes what's going on, and then he gets around the ball.
It was Gaviton tailback again, and that one, Martin Anderson, who was injured earlier in the day and close to first down yardage for the Stingers. See some reserves in here for Concordia. Anderson and Gaviton.
They're happy to go with the 3-step drop, protect pull to the front side, and then come back to receiver Martin Anderson. Just enough for the first down.
Anderson hurt in the first quarter on special teams on punt coverage, but with the catch there, Stingers move the ball. Anderson again. Does he hang on to it? It didn't look like he did. They haven't whistled it down. Mike Beasley with the ball. Husky football. And that is bizarre because Anderson caught it. And it wasn't clear as the officials now huddle to discuss this.
Well, they're ruling that he had possession, and we were looking up here. You can see the officials kind of looking at one another to see if it was complete or it wasn't. Neither one of them thought they had the call.
And now the crowd voicing its collective opinion.
Possession of it. Never really had possession. In slow motion.
Pass is ruled incomplete. Down is 2.
Initially looks like he has it. He bobbles it here, and then he tries to grab it again on the ground while he's being hit. And the ball never really has possession of it.
It is now second down. Concordia still with the ball at their 50. Anderson out of the game. Kronemeyer rolls to his right, has time and has a man. It's Hugo Carriere. It's complete to the 43. Saskatchewan, the sticks move again.
A little bit different here. They run almost a dash movement where they get the quarterback out in a semi-roll, and then he looks down the field. A good strike to Hugo Carriere. You can see how Saskatchewan's defense really flow hard to the right side. They're so afraid of John Kronemeyer maybe running with the football. You want to keep him contained, keep him in the pocket, forcing it down. That time, Hugo Carriere making no mistake. Hanging on to the ball.
The quarterback backs have looked very sharp for the most part in this game. Credit Ryan Reed, and certainly credit this backup in Kronemeyer, coming on in the second half, actually late in the second quarter in Halifax last week. Going on at the Concordia sideline.
Throw the ball to the wideout. You don't have to throw it deep.
Another first down for the Stingers. Ryan Reed and Todd Linden on the Saskatchewan bench. They hooked up for the only touchdown in this game. The passing yardage very close. Perhaps more of a surprise for Concordia. Evan Davis is back in this game. Richard Gabaton had replaced him. He's lined up wide to the left. 4 out to the left, and that's where Kronemeyer looks. Deep. Not deep enough. Carrier taking it on the hop. So it's incomplete. It'll be second down.
Boy, that's just a poor throw, and the really only first one we've seen him really, well, second one maybe we've seen him throw today. That one he had Carrier open. He just has to put it up in the air and let him run underneath it. Back here ready to throw, looks outside and then starts to deliver the ball. Yeah, I think he actually got interfered. That was a good job by Saskatchewan. His arm was actually hit as he was trying to deliver the football, and he had Carrier open.
Kronemeyer tries it again. That one deflected and caught. Hugo Carrier. A little bit of a tip drill there, but he comes down with the football. Sticks will move again.
It's an old quarterback trick. Whenever a defender is covering you and he has his back to you, you can throw the football. Warren Muzica had his back actually to Carrier. When the ball was thrown, the ball got tipped, and he kept his eyes on it and came down with another first down.
First down Stingers. In scoring position again. Over the middle, complete, and a big hit. Hugo Carrier hangs on to the football despite being walloped by Colin Dutton.
That's what you call taking one for the team. Good job, Kronemeyer stepping up here in the pocket, delivers a nice strike just over the hands of Trevor Lukey, and then the big knock by Colin Dutton. Wow. See the old head snap back on that one? It's a good job by Carrier to hold on to this one, because I tell you, Colin Dutton was coming with a lot of force.
56 seconds to go on the clock. They'd love to run it out with a touchdown and send this game to the locker room in a 10-10 tie. Kronemeyer under pressure now. Can't get away. Down. Michael Milo is there. And James Rapesi as well.
And you know, Rod, this is where inexperience comes into play right here. You cannot take a sack in this situation. You have first down. You're knocking on the door down here. If it's not there, you got to throw it away. I mean, Saskatchewan did a real good job of making sure all the elements were there. We're not going to allow him to escape outside of the pocket. Milo cut him off and then force a pursuit from the inside to get him.
Gerard's been great, the inside receiver. They don't throw to Jim Wood an awful lot, and Carrier has had a couple of big catches on this drive. And really paying the price on the one that got them down to the 17. Second down, Kronemeyer. Intercepted. Curtis Alberts with another interception.
Now, you know, that's a nice play by Curtis Alberts, but I'll tell you what John Kronemeyer saw. Curtis Alberts, it looked like he was confused prior to the start of the play. He was looking at formation. He ran all the way across the right side of the field, and then at the last moment, see him running across the top of your screen. He's running over there. Kronemeyer does not see him, does not pick him up. Thinks he's got to clean out, and then Alberts is there to pick it off. And this is why, as a quarterback, you've got to maintain your composure all the time and make sure you look down the field and see where people are. We saw Alberts on the right side, came running across at the last moment. Results into a great interception for Saskatchewan.
Concordia has turned it over 3 times. Alberts with 2 interceptions, and that was a biggie with the clock ticking till halftime. Preserving the Saskatchewan lead, Doug Rosen adding to his total yardage as he gets up across the Husky 30 to the 33.
And you know, Saskatchewan really only maybe have to get about 40 yards here in 30 seconds. They should start maybe using their lightning offense. And Concordia kind of laying back a little bit. A really good move to avoid the tackle by Jason Casey.
As it stands, they do lead by a major. And they have the ball. And a first down. 33 seconds on the clock and counting down. Content to keep it along the ground. Rosen with it on first down. Picks up about 3-4 yards on the play.
Ryan, make sure you get it up.
2 years ago, Taurus's team trailed 12-0 to St. FX as they headed to halftime. This time, the favorites will have the lead in the locker room. Todd Linden on the carry, clock down to 7 seconds.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. I mean, you know, this half is going to end with Saskatchewan probably at midfield, and if they maybe had managed the clock a little bit better, they might have been in a position to kick a field goal here. I mean, the way this game is going, it looks like it's going to be a low-scoring game, and it has been in the first half. I mean, you need all the points you can get and any opportunity in which you can get them, and especially after a turnover when the other team is usually down a little bit.
Content to just ground it now, and with no time left on the clock, they'll head to the locker room with their one touchdown lead as Ryan Reed hands off the ball to an official. Let's head down to the Saskatchewan sideline now. Here's Darren DeTitcher.
Thanks very much, Rod. Well, Coach, this is why they play the game. It was supposed to be a Husky romp. It's been anything but. It's been pretty tight.
You bet it has. We had a couple opportunities early. We dropped a couple in the end zone and may put us up 14. We ended up with 3 again, and that's kind of plagued us a bit, especially in a big game. You tend to make those mistakes, but I was happy we came back, and our defense has come up big, got us a couple turnovers, and fortunately we put one of them in.
2 years ago, you were down at the half, still a 7-point margin in your favor. You're going to take this, though.
Well, especially the way we played on offense, I think we'll take it. All we had was big plays. We didn't get anything consistent, and but on the other hand, we've had some time, and we've shown signs of being able to break some stuff. So
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Let's go back to Rod.
Okay, Darren. Taurus's Huskies looking for their 3rd national championship of the 90s. They're halfway there. They lead Concordia 10-3. Saskatchewan Huskies lead the Concordia Stingers by 7 after 30 minutes of the 34th Vanier Cup at Skydome. And welcome back to the CIAU National Championship game. It was 1 year ago that the UBC Thunderbirds were victorious over the Ottawa UGGs, and that victorious head coach was Casey Smith, and how he inspired his players, and what a tragedy this year he was not able to coach. Casey Smith dying Tuesday night after a 6-month battle with liver cancer. This one's for Casey. The Thunderbirds are national champions.
We got it. We worked so hard all year, and I'm so proud of these guys. They're the best. These guys are the best.
Winning that last year was the best feeling I ever had, and seeing him there and how he felt about it was even better. I remember after the game, I got a chance to almost right away give him a hug, and he just said, you know, we did it.
Certainly means twice as much now. He not only was a coach, but he was a friend, and anytime you lose a friend, anything that you've done together is really cherished. You'll never have those opportunities again. You'll never have a chance to rehash those old memories with that person again. So the ring is also a symbol of the friendship and the coaching and the good times we had.
My fondest memory of him is him holding the Vanier Cup over his head. Being with him for the number of years that I knew that that was his ultimate goal, and I think that's the way I'd like people to remember him, as someone that achieved what he set out to do.
Just before training camp, Casey announced he would not be back to coach this season, but his presence was felt in other ways. The players wore a reminder on their helmets that read, "Courage for Casey." And at a game against Simon Fraser, Casey was honored for his achievements once again.
We all kind of felt a little fire in our bellies, and we were really proud of him, and it gave him a little bit of the recognition that he deserved.
we went through a lot together, you know, in 5 years. I grew up as a person. I grew a lot as a person that I'm going to take with the rest of my life with me, and I want him to know that. His life was football. He loved this game. He loved these kids. I think a lot of the players this year, they had it in their head that they were playing for him.
He's meant a lot to me, and always remember him for what he's taught me on the field and off the field, and we'll miss that.
Well, it's cliche-ish to say, but if wealth is defined by the opinions and the greatness inspired in others, the opinions you heard here about Casey Smith, you know that he died a rich man on Tuesday night. A tragic irony that this is Vanier Cup week and a year, Jamie, almost to the day after his greatest accomplishment in his career.
It really is a sad day. And you know, one thing when you think about Casey Smith, what I was always impressed by him is here's an individual who brought tremendous passion to this game of football. He really enjoyed being a football coach, and that's what he was all about, instilling values in young men, trying to succeed, trying to reach a goal, and he will be missed. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Smith family.
Absolutely. Sorry to hear the news of the passing of Casey Smith. We're halfway through Vanier Cup 34, Saskatchewan leading by 7. Back at Skydome and Vanier Cup 34, Saskatchewan's had a little bit of trouble with Concordia, but they lead it at the half, 10-3. Vanier Cup 34, my, how this game has changed and grown since back in the mid-60s and the early 70s. Well, there are many people you can attribute to the success. One of them, John McConaughey, who is making this game his swan song. This afternoon's Vanier Cup will mark the end of an era in Canadian inter-university athletics. For the past 27 years, John McConaughey has been the CIAU's Director of Marketing and Sales, and a key reason for its stability and success. McConaughey, whose deep roots in Canadian university athletics were established while both a student and then a staff member at Sir George William, now part of Concordia University in Montreal. He was one of the founders of the Vanier Cup Committee and has been heavily involved in Canadian amateur sport for more than a quarter of a century.
When I think of John, I think it goes back to the early days when he and I went off to Moscow with the World Student Games, and this goes back, I guess, to about 73. And I like to tell this story about John because our first night in there, of course, we took all of the staff, the coaches and the managers of the teams to a dinner to kind of develop some esprit de corps. And John was the last one to leave the hotel, so we had to take a cab back. And of course, he had no Russian rubles, so he tried to pay it with American money, and he got arrested. And I got a phone call back at the headquarters, come and get me out of jail. I'm down here, I've been arrested. And that was probably one of the major decisions I had to make, of whether I wanted to get him out or not. But anyway, we did get him out, and of course, he's done a wonderful job for the CIAU. And I think they're going to miss him. I think his dedication is something that I think that they perhaps have recognized and hope haven't taken for granted.
He was not taken for granted and will be sorely missed. Thanks, John, for your dedication and your passion for Canadian amateur sport. You talk about taking one for the team. In 27 years, John McConaughey certainly has. And first of all, tell me about how scared you must have been in a Russian jail long before the days of when communism disappeared.
Very. It was a year after the Munich massacre. It was the World University Games, and security was extremely tight. We were essentially at the university residence. The guards had guns, and you went out one gate and came back in the other. And so I going into my pocket, looked for some cash for this cab driver, and realized my rubles are all gone. I figured I could do the deal with a cab driver, and I get the only straight one in all of Moscow. So.
Well, tell me about the growth of the Vanier Cup. I mean, you go back 27 years to the early 70s. Just tell me your thoughts about how this game has developed into what it is today.
Oh, it's just unbelievable, Rod. Coming down and I guess in our first year, most of the organizing was done by the Canadian College Bowl, a number of group businessmen here in Toronto, and we, the CIAU, had some input, but not an awful lot. I mean, most of the work was done by them, and so we'd come down as tourists for a couple of days and go to the dinner on Wednesday night and another one at City Hall on Friday and come to the game. And into the mid-'70s, I guess we, as our office developed, we started to take more of a role in the organization, and then in '82, I guess it was, we parted company with the Canadian College Bowl, renamed the event the Vanier Cup, and I guess the next most significant event was '89 in coming to this facility.
And it has been great ever since here at Skydome. John, my own personal thanks for all the help that you've given me over the time, and a great career. Good luck in retirement. I hope you enjoy yourself.
I appreciate it, Rod. Thanks. It's been great working with you as well, and thanks for all your support.
Thank you. John McConaughey, outgoing Director of Marketing with the CIAU. Well, of course, the big award is the Vanier Cup, but there are others, too, honoring the individual achievements, and that all began this week on Thursday night in Toronto. The 1998 CIAU Football Awards dinner, brought to you by the Royal Bank Financial Group, took place Thursday night at the Westin Harbour Castle. First up, the Peter Gorman Trophy, going to the Rookie of the Year. And the winner was Kojo Adu of the McMaster Marauders.
I played in high school because it was fun and I was somewhat good at it. But now I love it because, you know, I know that when I accomplish something, it makes me feel good. And when I'm on the football field, there are a lot of things that I want to accomplish there. So when I work hard and I accomplish things, you know, that's where I want to be. I want to be at the top of my game.
Next, the President's Trophy for the nation's outstanding defensive player. That was presented to Warren Muzyka of the Saskatchewan Huskies.
I'd like to thank all my teammates for just putting in so much hard work day in and day out, and just being tough, hard-nosed guys. And I'd also like to thank them for putting up with me for 5 years. I'd like to thank all the fifth-year players.
The J.P. Metras Trophy, acknowledging the CIAU's outstanding linemen, came from the University of Calgary. Garrett Everson was the winner.
The year was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for more in my final year. It's been such a great pleasure to play for the University of Calgary and be with all the great people that I've had contact with and learned from, and I've grown so much in the last few years, and it's unbelievable to have this award bestowed upon me. It's just fantastic.
Finally, the presentation of the Heck Crichton Trophy for the most valuable player in the CIAU, and for the second time it goes to Mount Allison's Eric LaPointe.
The last 4 years at Mount Allison has been for me a great experience. And I would like to thank for that all the fans and the supporters of the team, especially those back in Sackville. This is a great university and in a great town with very special people.
On Friday afternoon at the Westin, more CIA awards handed out. The TSN Russ Jackson Award for Athletics, Academics, and Community Service was given to Jean-Philippe Darche of the McGill Redmond.
It really does mean a lot because it acknowledges me as an athlete, as a student, and as a overall person. I guess you know, recognize the community work that I've done over the years, and it's a very important award for me.
The Frank Tyndall Trophy for the Coach of the Year was presented to the University of Western Ontario's Larry Haler.
When one thinks about the quality of the coaching that goes on across the universities in Canada, I think it's a very distinct and singular honor to be recognized in this way. It's a great honor.
The 1998 CIAU Football Awards, brought to you by the Royal Bank Financial Group. The Queen's Marching Band on the field at Skydome, just heading off as we get ready for the start of the second half. Saskatchewan by 7. As the Concordia Stingers come out for the second half of this Vanier Cup, they must not feel like underdogs. They trail by 7, but they are very much in this football game. I think Saskatchewan at the beginning deserved to be considered a favorite with all their talent and their experience, but Concordia has shown well. However, Saskatchewan hurt by the drop passes.
Well, no question in the first half. The first quarter looked like they were going to take this game and run away with it, but Doug Rosen wide open in the end zone, just can't hold on to it. Then they go down here and Derek Malinchuk has a step on Sean Gordon and he can't hold on to it, and that was another 6 points that was lost. And now it's Concordia's turn. Hugo Carriere right in the middle of the seam here. Perfectly thrown ball by John Kronemeyer. He can't find a handle, and that one's on the carpet as well.
Dave Miller-Johnston had also lined up for a 50-yard field goal. He was not expecting a fake.
Well, I don't think he was expecting a fake, and actually Dan Stewart does a really good job, or Mike Stewart actually does a really good job here at tracking down Kronemeyer, forcing him to throw the ball, and results in another turnover.
And that leads to this.
And this is a touchdown. They got caught in man coverage. They had Dwayne Bromfield, who's supposed to be man on Todd Linden, the running back. He gets caught looking in the backfield. Nice job by Ryan Reed to get on the ball.
First and only touchdown of the game. Interceptions hurting Kronemeyer in that second half.
Well, Curtis Alvarez kind of tricks Kronemeyer here. Comes across. He's not expecting to be out in the flat. He makes a great pick and stops it.
Turnovers certainly favoring the Saskatchewan Huskies there as we look at the stats of the half.
And turnovers are really the question. Concordia just can't seem to kind of score because they turn the ball over too many times.
Now let's head down to the Concordia sideline. David Amber.
Thanks, Rod. Coach, your thoughts on a very close first half?
Yeah, we made a few mistakes at critical times. We had a communication breakdown in the field goal. We also got in deep and didn't come out with any points. But we did play the long field for most of the first half, so we're going to take the football here and see if we can get some positive field to start the second half.
What offensive adjustments are you trying to set up for this half?
We don't feel they have stopped us, so we're not making any adjustments.
And again, the big plays you're getting from your wide receivers must be very optimistic for you.
Yeah, they are, but it's the little plays. You know, the 7, 10-yard passes. Those are the ones that we're not getting right now, and we have to get them if we're going to be successful.
Good luck to you. Thanks, Coach. Back to you, Rod.
All right, thank you, David. Well, when David talked to him earlier, Pat Sheehan, he said he didn't feel like an underdog, and his players didn't feel like underdogs. You're talking about two different conferences. John Kronemeyer, the backup quarterback, has done a very good job in that role overall. He has thrown a couple of interceptions, but he's pretty comfortable out there at the Huskies sideline. Much like 2 years ago, perhaps. They have the lead this time, but they must feel like they should be up by more.
Well, no question, you know, but I think that you have to take a look at Brian Towers' comments when he was leaving at the half, saying that there's been big plays in this game. His frustration is that they have not been able to kind of sustain anything, any kind of drive to kind of get a rhythm going on offense. And you got to give a lot of credit to Concordia for that because they're playing a lot of different games up front and giving Saskatchewan all they can handle.
Barring overtime, which Concordia has already been through against Laval a couple of weeks ago, 30 minutes away from crowning a Vanier Cup winner. There's still a lot of football to be played.
John Kronemeyer, his first start in the Vanier Cup, first start this year, 11 of 19, very good numbers, and considering he had a couple drop. The only big blemish on that one are the 2 interceptions, especially when they had a chance. They were in the red zone, they could have scored, come up with at least 3 points, cannot turn the ball over within the opponent's 20-yard line.
But the Stingers have been able to move the football against a good Saskatchewan defense, and that is key. With them down by 7, but they know that. At least they can drive. They've had some good ones going. This one underway. The second half begins. Matt Kellett kicking it off. Dave Spence taking it at his 10. Coming across the 25 and taken down. Gets no further than that.
And, you know, take a look, Rod, here. That's more music on special teams. You know, a lot of teams look at special teams as kind of an afterthought. They don't get their best guys on there. That's where the subs come in and play. Saskatchewan do not do that. They make sure that their best players are on special teams at all times. And this is why. They come down here, you think David Spence looks like he's got somewhere to go. Warren Musica just tracks him down.
Warren Musica looked like a veteran when he played in '94. He was in his first year. Now that Saskatchewan defense, a heartbreaking overtime loss to Western. Kronemeyer to throw on first down. And it goes short. In fact, it's Musica closest to the ball as it bounces in front of him.
Well, it's real interesting now when you look what Saskatchewan's doing here on defense. Sometimes with an inexperienced quarterback, the thing that you want to do is drop a lot of people off. You can only rush 3 guys sometimes. Force him to make good decisions. If he makes a bad decision, the ball can get picked off. And you can see there's all sorts of Huskies around the football right now. So they're doing the exact opposite of what Concordia is trying to do on defense. Concordia want to get to Ryan Reed right away, force him to make a decision quick.
That one was intended for Hugo Carriere, incomplete, so 2nd and 10. Stingers from their 25. Kronemeyer airs it out for Girard. It's well overthrown. Not close that time, so 2 and out for the Stingers. Miller-Johnston will be in to punt from his 10.
Well, Pat Sheehan, I think, realizes he has to get something going on the ground. I mean, this is a team that this season chewed up a lot of yardage in the OQIFC on the ground. They came in, they were an option team, coming out and having to rely on John Kronemeyer. You know, as the game goes on more and more, you have to rely on that. You can't develop a rhythm on offense as well. Tough to run the ball if you haven't been doing it for the whole game.
So the kind of start to the second half with the Huskies love. They'll have good field position as Mirza takes it on his 50. Up across midfield. It doesn't go down until he is at the Concordia 50-yard line. So already, Saskatchewan, after a 10-yard return of a 37-yard punt, is in Stinger territory at about their 51.
And it really shows you how important special teams are and kickoff coverage team. And Ryan Reed coming in with very good numbers in the first half. Didn't really hurt his team. No interceptions, threw the 1 touchdown. Probably should have had 2 more in there, but 10 of 15 was a really good numbers, 152 yards.
Ryan Reed, his second year as a starter, looking to lead the Huskies to a national title. Concordia's defense, Sam Toussaint there, number 72. They want to have something to say about that as they stuff the run on first down.
You know what? It's tough to move a guy that's 290 pounds in the middle here. I mean, he just doesn't budge an inch. You're trying to run isolation, take Todd Linden down the linebacker. He lets him go by, but he's not letting Doug Rosen go by.
Sam Toussaint has the size and the strength. 290 in his first year. The Montreal Alouettes loved him so much that they're keeping a close eye on him. They realize he needs experience, but they have stayed in touch with the Stingers on his progress this year. Could be a future in pro football for Toussaint. The pass on second down, it's complete to Jason Sulls, but not enough for a first down. And with the ball roughly at the Concordia 45, Matt Kellett is coming on. Is he coming on to punt or try the field goal?
I think they're going to punt this one away. That would be an awful long field goal attempt for him. And I think they really respect David Spence back there and Sylvain Girard. Because, you know, you have to keep everybody in and protect it. And if you don't make it, you've got a lot of yardage for those guys to run.
Kellett's longest field goal of the year was 50. Girard back there along with Dave Spence. It was Spence in the first half who took it near the dead ball line on a punt and made a wonderful return. And Kellett, respecting that, as Jamie said, kicks it away, and a beautiful punt by Matt Kellett. Taken, and it goes out of the end zone, out of bounds in the end zone for a single point after a 51-yard punt. And so they tack another point on the board. Kronemeyer will come out. His team now trailing by 8 points. Brian Towers' Huskies pick up another point, but Jamie, perhaps they didn't want that.
I think Matt Kellett was trying to angle it and get it inside of the 10. I mean, how often when you kick a 51-yarder, you look kind of disgusted Sylvain Girard fields it, but it is in the end of a single point. I think they were trying to play the field position game, get it out inside there, hope the defense can hold them for 2, force them to punt, and then have very good field position in which to maybe score a field goal or a touchdown.
So the Stingers, on average, have started at their own 29, starting at the 35 this time, down by 8. They hitch to Sylvain Girard, tries to cut back in, but Trevor Lutke is there, for no gain.
Well, there's the 1-2 punch again. We talk Warren Musica and Trevor Lutke. Warren Musica misses it, but turns it back inside. Yeah, empty out the backfield, 3-step drop, get the ball over to Sylvain Girard, cuts it inside off of Musica, but then you see Trevor Lutke coming across. But these linebackers for Saskatchewan are so rangy. We've talked about it earlier. Look at the size of Trevor Lutke, 6'4", 230 pounds, and he runs like a deer.
Second and 10. No gain. Hand off to the fullback, John Ashworth. Doesn't have a whole lot. It'll be a punting situation. Third and long. It was a gain of about a yard, maybe 2 for Concordia. Dave Miller-Johnston will be coming in to kick it away. Neither offense terribly productive here early in the second half. Back for the kick, David Mirza and Kelly McNair. Miller-Johnston from his 25. Mirza takes it. Across the 45 to the Saskatchewan 46-yard line. 30
picture of Brian Towers. He always has that same expression, whether he's up by 25 points or he's down by. You can never tell with him. He always looks concerned. He always has a little bit of sweat in the middle of his brow. He's not relaxed until the game is over.
CIAU Coach of the Year in 1994, and he was up for it again, losing in the voting to Larry Haler. That award just presented yesterday. Doug Rosen taking it on the right side on first down and gets close to the 50-yard line, down about the 49.
And you can really see how important it is to play good defense to get to a championship game. And Concordia haven't done a great deal on offense, but defensively, Paul Chesser has his team ready to play, and they've done a pretty good job this afternoon.
I was talking to Brian Towers yesterday about everything that a team has to go through in a busy Vanier Cup week. And I said, it must be a lot easier for you guys because you know what it's all about. But he said, yeah, but you got to remind the veterans anyway. 2 years later, some of them still forget. Nothing but dinners and banquets to go to. You got to fit a practice in there somehow. Doug Rosen quickly gets around, trying to turn that corner. He comes up a little shy of a first down on 2nd and 8. This will be fairly close, actually probably about a yard and a half shy.
Well, good job of kind of sealing the edge here. They get the guard out around the corner. Doug Rosen does a nice job of turning it up, trying to get the first down. They're going to be a little bit short. And Brian Towers still has not made a decision what he's going to do here yet. He wants to have a measurement. I don't believe the official's going to give it to him.
This looks easily a yard plus.
They're going to go for it.
So call it a yard, maybe.
And the reason he wants the measurement because it takes time for that to happen. It gives him a little more time to kind of think about his options and what he really wants to do. He's decided to go for it. They put in the big fullback, number 33, Curtis Bullich,
who had a touchdown last week in short yardage against Western. Fumble. And I don't think, even if they got the ball back, they wouldn't have the first down anyway. It looks like Concordia will take over on downs. I don't know if the Stingers recovered the ball, but it's inconsequential. The ball rests at the 50. It is Concordia football. How big is this?
And you know, you take 1 million of these snaps a year in practice. This stuff has to be automatic, and especially in critical situations like this has to be taken for granted. You can't quite see what happens here, but he just does not get the handle somehow, whether he pulled out too soon. It didn't look like it. Let's see if we can see it up. He just didn't get the handle on that, and that ball went on the ground. And you're right, regardless of whether they recovered it, he did not have the first down.
And the first turnover going against Saskatchewan. A big one it is on the option. Evan Davis had a 75-yard touchdown last week. He's gone. He's gone. Evan Davis. Touchdown, Concordia.
Field when he was in high school. He played here. This is perfectly executed option. Get the ball pitched out right away. Now Warren Muzica has the pitch back, can't quite get there. He's not as fast as Evan Davis Jr. And now he gets in the secondary. He just turns on the Jets and it's 6 points. Had the big 77-yarder last week against Acadia. He has another big one here this afternoon.
This convert by Dave Miller Johnston. The Stingers are within one.
Number one, baby. Scott, what was for you, baby? We the top. We the top.
Approaching the midway point of the third quarter, we do indeed have a football game. 11-10 Saskatchewan. Because of this man, with the 4th longest run in Vanier Cup history, the Concordia Stingers trail in the Vanier Cup by just 1 single point.
Hey, Rod, some people may question why Pat Sheehan wouldn't go for the 2-point conversion right now and try and tie it up, but there's 9 minutes left in the third quarter. There's going to be more scoring in this game, and he feels he'll get a chance to tie this or maybe take the lead later on.
Off the kickoff. Kelly McNairn with the football and taken down at his 22-yard line. Another look at the touchdown by Concordia's Evan Davis.
This is option run to perfection. Connemar conducts stutters, fakes to the back, and then deals it right away when the quarterback's taken care of. That's what they wanted to take the quarterback, but he deals it. Warren Muzica just cannot get over there in time and puts on a real good move. And it's a foot race down the sidelines.
Let's head down to the Stinger sideline and join David Amber.
Thanks, Rod. Evan, you certainly have a flair for the dramatic. Talk about that run.
Well, it was the first time they've seen that form of option, and we caught them on their heels. And the team needed a big play, and I was glad to be there to deliver. I want to send a special thank you to Dave Spence with the big block on our offensive line, playing great so far. They kept him out, and John Connemar behind us. This made all of us gel together, made a good play.
Congratulations. Lots of morale right here on the Concordia sideline. Rod, back to you.
I bet there is. Thank you, David. Here's Vanier Cup with the team representing Canada West and Ontario, Quebec. The crowd was just over 8,000. Much improved this time around, 15,157. So, the Stingers and Saskatchewan Huskies fans, better representation here in 98, and they're getting traded to a very close football game. Closing in on the halfway point of the third. Airing it out. It's Ryan Reed, but it is overthrown. Intended for Jason Saul. Jason Souls. Thinking of Joe Saul, who used to wear 77.
That's right. That's a funny thing when we've covered Saskatchewan all these years, and you just see the numbers stay the same, but the guys' names change. And when you and I were out there in Saskatoon last week, we were commenting to some of the players saying, you know, look at number 5. That's not Jason Weber. That's David Blackburn. Right. He's a wide receiver here. So we kind of went through all that. And Brian Towers is quite amazed to remember all those guys. He said, I have a hard time remembering all those good players that went through here.
And he has seen so many good players since taking over in '84, and especially starting in 1989 when this school really made a move in the national scene. The 5th Vanier Cup. Since then, just beyond the outstretched arm of Jared Rennie. It would have been a great one-handed catch had he hung on to the football.
You know, Concordia are doing some really good things on defense, especially in their pass coverage. They're playing what I call an inside engage technique, where they're jamming the wideouts and then letting them go by, but then coming underneath. And that's why Ryan Reed's trying to look and trying to get that quick post. They're just not allowing it. They're letting the guy go by. They got help deep, but they got man underneath, and he's trying to cut it off.
Good coverage, good coverage.
Paul Chesser played here in 1993. Concordia Stingers in the Churchill Bowl. It's the University of Toronto. They lost that game, and Toronto went on to win the Vanier Cup against Calgary that year with a last-minute field goal block.
Concordia's defense does a job as Matt Kellett has to punt deep in his own zone. They'll have good field position. Sylvain Girard with the ball. Trying to go to his left, hops around, gets stuck, fumble. The ball came loose. And it looks like the Huskies might have it. They're still sorting it out. No signal from the officials, as they now start to pull each other off the pile, including Matt Kellett, who was in there trying to knock a few off. It looks like it is Concordia football. There's one man left lying on the carpet. Wayne Bromfield down at the bottom of the pile. Could have been another big break for Saskatchewan.
Cardinal rule in football, you don't leave your feet. You're so vulnerable in the air, and you can see, especially when Warren Muzica's around there. And it looked like Trevor Lutke came up with it, but Bromfield managed to squeeze it out from him. Trying to make the big athletic play, and boy, I tell you, he got cracked there by both Muzica and Lutke. Lutke looked like came down with it initially, but Bromfield stole it from Trevor Lutke, and Concordia retains possession.
Huskies have a wonderful alumni base here in Toronto, and many making the trip from Saskatchewan on the option. Bobbled, but Davis picks it up. And on that play, the last time around, it wound up with a 55-yard touchdown. That time they're just lucky they didn't turn it over, and they actually end up gaining good yardage, about 7 yards on the play.
Well, it certainly took a Concordia bounce, no question about that. Faking it to Ashford, you know, and the thing is they're playing it real well. Saskatchewan that time, I mean, they're really making the quarterback pay. Bang, hit the quarterback, can't really get the ball off well enough.
That happened in the second half. Kronemeyer in for Sean Hoas. Concordia fumbled it, and they were fortunate to get it back. They run it again. Davis
same look, and they continue to want to run it to the short side of the field. Real nice move by Evan Davis Jr. to get up and get the first down. And you can see a real shift of momentum in this game when the Huskies get stopped on that 3rd and short. The Concordia score and now seem to be in control of this football game right now.
Each team has scored a touchdown after the other and turned the ball over on downs. Dave Spence sees it go off his fingertips, and they're fortunate that Mike Stewart wasn't able to get in close enough to intercept that pass. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Concordia.
A quick 3-step drop. They're trying to bring him back underneath, and again they're trying to work that rub. It takes Zvikovic out, and you can see Zvikovic kind of throwing up in the air his hand as if there should be a flag there, thinking he was being interfered by Jason Weber, but in fact it looked like he was trying to rub Jason Weber off.
Kronemeyer. It's complete. Threw it over Zvikovic, and it's Spence there to make the catch at the Husky 40.
You know, you could go back and ask John Kronemeyer, who are you throwing this ball to? And he'll tell you, I was throwing it to Dave Spence the whole way. I'm not so sure here. Trying to run a little bit of play-action pass, and I tell you, this is a heck of a throw. You have Mike Zvikovic right in front of him. Or, excuse me, Christopher Zvikovic.
And Spence brings it down. We've seen good work by the quarterbacks in this game, certainly from Ryan Reed, and I have to say some good things about John Kronemeyer. Thrust into the starter's job in the second half of the Atlantic Bowl and starting here in the Vanier. He has played well despite 2 interceptions. Well, they showed the option look, but they had handed off to John Ashworth, and it gets good yardage on 1st down. The fullback taking it down about the Saskatchewan 31. That was a play that worked well against Laval.
This is what option's supposed to do for you. You know, everybody starts over pursuing the outside, then you hand off to the fullback inside. And this is the kind of situation that Pat Sheehan wants to be in. He wants to be in 2nd and short.
Second and 1. Stingers have all the momentum in this game, although good defensive work on Evan Davis by Warren Muzyka to prevent a 1st down. Big play by Muzyka, and he has made many in his time playing Canadian University football. It forces the Stingers into a field goal situation.
You know, big players make big plays, and this is a good move by Evan Davis, but even a better play by Warren Muzyka. Once he gets a piece of it, he's not letting go, and you see the knee touchdown, and they're going to be forced into a field goal situation.
The Stingers have not led in this 34th Vanier Cup. They have the chance to go ahead by 2 points now, trailing by 1. Dave Miller-Johnson is out to attempt a 41.5-yard field goal, if you want to be specific.
And I don't think we'll see a fake field goal attempt in this one.
I'm sure the signals are not crossed this time around. Concordia for the lead. It goes wide left. Kelly McNair trying to take it out and just does get it out. Close to being a tie game even, but McNair does get it out of the Saskatchewan end zone.
And remember now in the CIAU, the rule is that if you return this thing out, and all you have to do is get out to the 1, they'll scrimmage the ball on the 20-yard line for you. So it won't be Saskatchewan's ball on the 1-yard line, but on the 20. And they do that to encourage runbacks. Concordia tried to hustle down, but a real good heads-up play by Saskatchewan to get out to the 1 and put the ball back in the 20. Give them a little bit of breathing room in their own end.
For the benefit of anyone who was wondering why on earth McNair would even try to run out. Rule to encourage runbacks, and a good job to get it out, get it to the 20, and still with a 1-point lead. Reed dropped. Another drop ball. Dwayne Bromfield was there.
And I'm going to tell you, Rod, the anxiety level raises, goes so high. When you come across, you don't snag it right away. Do you see Malinchuk look up? I mean, he knew he's going to get cracked because he's coming into that area where those linebackers are kind of floating around and sprinting hard to the ball. He looks up and bang.
In In the first quarter, Derek Malinchuk dropped a pass that looked most certainly like a touchdown, and that was after Doug Rosen had dropped one in the end zone. That also would have been, of course, a touchdown for Saskatchewan. This has plagued the Huskies today. Reed with lots of time. Complete. Jared Rennie, first down and more. He's got the ball up at the Saskatchewan 48.
If you could put a label on Jared Rennie, I think you'd have to say consistency. He's not flashy in what he does, but he always seems to come through for you all the time. Always makes the catch. You say not flashy, not the kind of guy that's going to break a lot of big plays for you, but I mean, that was a great catch right there. The ball was stretched a little bit and gets upfield. He was a running back initially here in Saskatchewan.
And runs well after the catch, a gain of 27 in total. Huskies approaching midfield now. First down. Reed to pass again. Complete. Kelly McNairn. First down and more. McNairn in Concordia territory. Down at the Stinger 44.
You can certainly see Kelly McNairn has the speed.
Gain of 19 yards for number 70.
It's a short little hit. Go down 3 steps, stop, come back inside. Sprints real hard. Nice pass. Come back inside. Takes a great deal of courage as well to come back inside. You know, all those people are inside there. Does a real nice job of getting a first down.
First down. Huskies on the move at the Concordia 44. They still lead by a point. Flag on the play. Counter to Rosen. Right side. Picks up maybe 3 yards.
It's going to be against Concordia.
The offside signal against the Stingers. And they'll likely take it, of course, with a gain under 5.
On the top of your screen, offside. See, they're coming hard on the blitz. They want to come real hard and
number 99
come across a little bit too early.
Big Jeff Anderson. All Canadian last year. Another good year this year with the Stingers. Strength up front. But a 1st and 5 for the Huskies. Rosen picks up about 3. It'll be 2nd and very short for Saskatchewan. The ball around the 35.
Well, they certainly are in Matt Kellett's range right now, so closing in on 100 yards this afternoon, Doug Rosen. Last week, over 200 yards rushing in the Churchill Bowl.
And the all-time rushing leader in the history of the Saskatchewan Huskies. This is 4th year. Passing Terry Eisler, who had a nice career from 85 to 89. There's Rosen again. First down and more. Down to the 20. Huskies are in business. Once again, Rosen's a big reason why.
Doug Rosen. This doesn't look good if this is Doug Rosen hurt down here.
Rosen is lying down after a gain of 16 in obvious pain and getting some attention. Doug Rosen has rushed for more than 100 yards in this game, but he just went down hurt on that last rushing play, Jamie.
And you know, Rod, it looked like he didn't hurt his shoulder. It looked like he might have had a burner. And you know, burner, if you ever hit your funny bone and you know what that feels like, well, multiply that by 100 times.
Reed was looking to the end zone, but they say no catch, looking for Jared Rennie, who doesn't seem to like the call very much.
And you know, earlier I was trying to make reference back to the Hardy Cup in 1995 as we see the ball coming here to Jared Rennie trying to make the catch and stay in bounds. A good call by the official, didn't have control of it. Where Doug Rosen got hurt in that game in the 4th quarter, was unavailable, and they didn't really have a quality backup at that time. They were unable to run the ball, and consequently Calgary came back, won that game in overtime, and then won the Vanier Cup in 1995.
They have a good backup in number 29, the tailback you see there to the left of your screen, and Tony Chad. Reed looking end zone. Oh, David Mirza could have had it. Another drop pass in the end zone. And Ryan Reed looks justifiably upset about it. The field goal team comes on.
This has really been the plague of Saskatchewan this afternoon. Three sure touchdown passes dropped. Another one there. David Mercer just kind of short arms. It doesn't extend his arms all the way out. Misjudged the ball. And you know, you can't really make excuses, but you are playing in a building, and obviously the depth looks a little bit different, but those balls are there. You got to catch those ones.
And so the field goal attempt from 27 yards out is good. So once again, the Huskies add to their lead, but once again, they don't add as much as they wanted. 14-10, Saskatchewan. Not a bad day for Saskatoon at the half. This 1999 Chevrolet Cavalier Z24 was won by this man. He had the key, Peter Perdue of Saskatoon. Congratulations. Mike Black, brand planner, Chevrolet Cavalier, there to give the car away to Peter Perdue. Something to drive home with. Tried, tested, and true. Quarterback for Saskatchewan is Sheldon Ball. Warming up, Concordia football, and another drop pass. Chris Svetkovic, and took some punishment along the way.
I think we saw Sheldon Ball. He was just warming up in the sidelines to get the receivers, and you can see another ball that should have been caught.
I don't recall a game, even when the conditions were poor, where there have been so many passes dropped and big plays. And that, of course, taints the numbers of the quarterbacks in this. Certainly the first half numbers of Kronemeyer and Reed. Second down and 10. Kronemeyer to throw it again. Nearly intercepted. No. Another drop ball, and this time it's Jason Weber that can't hang on defensively.
Well, they're going to have to get out the jugs machine, and that's the one that fires footballs to people. And Jason Weber gets a good chance at an interception. Again, can't come down. They can forgive the defensive backs a little bit more than you can the receivers. Not used to catching as many, but nonetheless, those are big plays you got to have.
For either of these teams, there will not be a practice tomorrow or the next day. This is the last game of the season, but I think you have a good idea what they would have been working on had there been a practice. Who knows? Maybe after what the coaches have seen, they'll make practice anyway. Nearly blocked. Good pressure by the Huskies on Miller Johnston. Mercer takes it at his 40 and gets up across the 45 out at the Saskatchewan 47.
Well, that's why we saw Sheldon Ball on the sidelines, a backup quarterback for Saskatchewan. He was warming up. Not himself, he was warming up Derek Malinchuk. He was throwing the ball to Derek Malinchuk and getting a few extra reps in there.
It does make you wonder, though, when you do see it happen to both teams. There haven't been too many players that have been immune to this. Certainly Jared Rennie has caught everything thrown his way, and as has, I believe, Sylvain Girard.
And you can't say sweaty hands or anything because they all wear those glass cutter gloves, so...
47, the last time they had the ball, they nearly had a touchdown. They came up with a field goal. Intercepted! Greg Casey! Touchdown Stingers! Yards, a dramatic turnaround for Concordia. They have their first lead of the game on the touchdown by Casey.
Well, they're certainly keeping it in the family. Concordia got into this game because his brother, Jason Casey, returned a fumble against Laval to put him in the Atlantic Bowl. And now Greg Casey's turn. 56-yard interception, return for a touchdown. And Concordia lead for the first time.
They lead by 2, and with the convert by Miller Johnston. Goes back and sets up again. It will be a field goal lead for Concordia. Incredible. He does put it up and in. So it is a touchdown lead. Trying
to hit Salt to the outside, jumps it real well. This time they hold on to the football and he takes it all the way down. You know, that's a cardinal rule in football. You cannot throw the out low and outside or inside. And that's exactly what happened here.
And it was Greg Casey with an interception last week in the Atlantic Bowl that led to the drive that led to the Miller-Johnston field goal that won that game and brought them here at Skydome. Now they lead it.
At a Chippewa secondary school in North Bay.
And recruited by the defensive coordinator, Paul Chesser. He and Jason Casey. Chesser from North Bay as well. Reason to celebrate. The points off the turnovers have been so huge. All touchdowns. 14-7 Concordia in that department.
And we talked to Pat Sheehan throughout the week, and he said if there's one thing that really describes this team of his is that they were opportunistic. That any time a situation came, they could capitalize on it, they usually did.
Sent back up there on special teams. You think he might be a little tired out after that pick?
Well, I think he is on special teams. I think he was just tired, had to sit down on the bench.
David Mirza takes the kickoff. Saskatchewan trailing for the first time in this game. And it looks like the Stingers are fired up. Stinging hit there by Graham Burns on Mirza as he is down at the 35, 34-yard line. Saskatchewan. This is not something Ryan Towers is used to.
And when I say Concordia being opportunistic, Ryan Reed really makes one mistake today. He's played very well throughout this football game, and one mistake and Saskatchewan are behind him.
And this will be the final play of the third quarter. The clock is down to zeros. 15 minutes to go, barring overtime. On the handoff, Doug Rosen. 2 years ago, the Saskatchewan Huskies trailed by 2 entering the fourth quarter to St. FX. In 1998, they head to the fourth quarter of the Vanier Cup down by 3. Through 3 quarters, Concordia leading Saskatchewan 17-14. Of this Vanier Cup don't tell the entire story, Jamie. Turnovers so huge, especially one of them for Concordia.
Well, I believe that we've seen 3 scores off of turnovers this afternoon, and of course the biggest one was Greg Casey's interception just a few moments ago. Some of the fans down from Montreal with a 5.5-hour drive by bus.
Looking to make some history, witness some history here. As Concordia leads as we begin the fourth quarter. Jason Souls with it. Ryan Reed, his 4th completion of the half, but only 4 for 11. And that 1 interception so far in the second half.
And again, they don't have a stat for balls dropped, unfortunately, for a quarterback. But, you know, he's just coming back out here throwing again. You know, one thing about Ryan Reed, I think he matured a lot this year as a quarterback in Saskatchewan. He talked about being able to bring his team back in really bad conditions to win a huge game over the defending national champions, UBC Thunderbirds, earlier in the season. So this is a guy who has tremendous confidence.
The Huskies are used to close games in the Vanier for the most part. That one is caught. Kelly McNairn with it. On first down, gets it to midfield.
And you can certainly see that Ryan Reed is not tentative at all. He's coming back out. And sometimes as a quarterback, when that happens to you, you can do one of 2 things. You can kind of get real conservative, or you can get real mad. When you get real mad, sometimes you come out and you start playing football. And that's exactly what he's doing right now.
Saskatchewan lost in its first Vanier appearance by 25, but after that they won it by only 3 over St. Mary's. They lost in overtime to Western in 94. They were trailing St. FX in 96. They won 31-19, but it was a lot closer than that. Here's Tony Chad in for the injured Doug Rosen, and he has been a very reliable backup running back. Chad has the first down for the Huskies.
Tony Chad, the medical student at the University of Saskatchewan, does a real nice job filling in for Doug Rosen. What he does is he has some patience going to the hole. He kind of waits for the block to kind of form, and then he skirts through. His father, of course, Tom Chad, a defensive back with the Huskies for a number of years.
Doug Rosen standing on the sideline, suffering from a burner, and says he plans to be back in this game. The pass to David Merz is complete. Huskies are moving this football. They have another first down. They're inside the Concordia 40. 13 minutes on the Skydome clock, and they are answering back, down by 3.
It shows great maturity in the Saskatchewan team when all the momentum was gone against you, to be able to come back and in the face of all that momentum, get a drive together, calm your team down, and start driving the football.
Derek Malinchuk, one of the drop passes, talking to Brian Towers coming in. First and 10, Saskatchewan. Close to field goal range already. Looking for more. The handoff to Chad, going nowhere. Lost yardage on the play. Lone Dong catches him in the backfield and drops him.
Lone Dong, not very big in the halfback spot. Usually have more physical people out there, but he's 5'9", 175 pounds, an all-conference player a year ago in the OQIFC. Does a real good job. Good job of stuffing it up. Chad trying to bounce it outside, and then Lone Dong comes in and makes the sure tackle for a loss.
And a loss of 5 yards it is. Second and 15, Saskatchewan. And now essentially out of field goal range, or it will take a season high for Kellett to get it. Read the pass. Wants Jared Rennie, but too far. Dong with the coverage down inside the 10. It'll be third down.
Brian Towers excited to try a field goal here. This is 49 yards away.
A similar situation, albeit from 52. What would have been 52, he elected to punt instead. As mentioned, Kellett has hit one from 50 this season, his longest. This from 49 to tie the game. Plenty of distance, but wide. And it is Casey who had the interception for the touchdown, bringing it out. Greg Casey, good return. Gets it out well past the 20 where they would have scrimmaged it. And he not got it out of the end zone. A good return by Casey.
And that's a real danger when you try a long field goal, of course. You have to keep everybody in to protect. You can't get people down the field to cover. And Greg Casey showing that he really certainly has the ability to carry the football. Looks like an offensive player there. Dan Stewart does a good job as well for Saskatchewan to, Mike Stewart. I keep saying Dan. That was his brother who played for a number of years.
On the 94 team.
On the 94 team.
Product of North Bay. 11:08 on the Skydome clock. Concordia football. The handoff. The fullback. John Ashworth with the carry. Back down to the Stinger sideline now. David Amber.
Thanks, Rod. Greg, have you ever had a play that big in your life?
Not as big as this one. Playing in the Vanier Cup is one of the greatest highlights of my life. My football career, I don't think I can beat this.
If you listen closely, you can hear the momentum swinging in your favor.
Oh, yeah. After that reception touchdown return, this got our offense and defense pumped, and hopefully it'll come out.
All right, congratulations. Back to you, Rod.
Thank you, David. And nearly intercepted by Warren Mazika. Stepped in front of Dave Spence on that second down. It's incomplete. Concordia will be punting. It could have been a lot worse for the Stingers.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure that John Kronemeyer is glad that he has, or Warren Mazika did not catch this ball, because this would have been 6 points. Mazika putting that left hand up and knocking it away from Spence, but that could have very easily have been picked off. And if it had been, he would have waltzed into the end zone.
The quarterbacks have had their share of mistakes in the second half. As we we've talked about many times. Both quarterbacks have been hurt by drop passes, but that one could have hurt Kronemeyer a lot more, and Muzyka intercepted it. As it stands, it'll be Saskatchewan football. As soon as Mirza gets his hands on it, chased back. David Mirza couldn't get his hand on that ball. Ends up driven back close to the 20-yard line, about the 23. Call it a 48-yard punt for Miller Johnston.
And you know, Rod, all special teams coaches will tell you have to feel the ball in the air, because if you don't and you let it bounce, it usually adds another 15 yards average to the kick. And here's a perfect example. Ball goes down, now it gets that funny bounce. Mirza's trying to find the handle now. Just gets a hold of the ball, and I mean, it bounces here. It's going to go another 10. Doesn't get the handle. He loses another 15, 16 yards on that.
Ryan Towers looks on. His team has the football, but back at their own 24-yard line and down by 3 with just over 10 minutes to go. He had a big test to answer against St. FX 2 years ago, and they answered it with 3 touchdowns to win that one 31-12 going away. But the scenario looks different now. Concordia has been in this game from the get-go. Doug Rosen back in this game as well after an injury with a flag down, and Reed throwing. Wanted Jason Souls a little bit too far. Penalty marker down. And the flag went down just as the ball was snapped. They're offside, a procedure, and with the applause of Concordia, it looks like it's going, yes, against Saskatchewan. Take it or decline it.
Legal procedure.
Decline it.
Number 32, Saskatchewan. Decline. Second down.
You don't give them 2 chances. Bottom of your screen, you'll see, yep, that was Jarrett Rennie. Not timing it up properly and kind of doing that one little hop and 1 foot. Right into the neutral zone and proceeded illegally.
Ryan Reed, Kelly McNairn has it. Big play, Saskatchewan still going. But he is stopped at the Husky 49. First down, Saskatchewan.
Now that's a huge play by Ryan Reed. A huge play. So important that they get a first down here. You can see a good release coming off the ball by Kelly McNair that makes sure the catch, secures it, gets the ball in the right hand. He's running to the right side, keep it away from everybody coming to tackle you. Gives him a big first down and more importantly, some breathing room at field position.
McNair a gain of 30. His first year. Played with the Saskatoon Hilltops. Reed to Rennie. Cross midfield, close to more first down yardage. Huskies can quickly move the ball up the field. Last time they did, they tried a field goal that was no good.
And one thing about Saskatchewan, they are an experienced football team. This is a team that is not going to panic. There's 8.5 minutes left to go in this game. There's more than enough time. They're not going to try and have to think they have to score in a real hurry. They're going to try and drive the ball and continue to play, stay within their game plan.
Saskatchewan trying to continue the dominance of the Canada West. They've won 3 straight Vanier Cups. The Ontario-Quebec team hasn't won since Queens did in 1992. Rosen with the handoff. He just needed about a yard. And it is very close.
You know, there is no decision this time. I think Ryan Towers is going to kick this one away as we see a good job done up front by Jeff Anderson once again. All-Canadian a year ago, and his partner, Wayne Dunn.
Ryan Towers went for it on 3rd and short. Back in the 3rd quarter near midfield, and it didn't pay off, and ultimately Concordia.
And you know, they're going to go again here.
Ultimately Concordia picked up a field goal on that.
You know, I'm a bit surprised by this one. There's a lot of time left. Try to angle the ball deep, play the field position game.
Take him down. The Concordia 43. It's against the Stingers. It's first down Huskies. If it's against Saskatchewan, of course, they will be punting from inside their own zone.
They're clopping it up
flag
now.
this is.
Against Concordia.
It'll be a first down Huskies. Jared Rennie goes right side and picks up the key first down.
Talking about Jared Rennie at one time being a running back of this program.
There was no penalty. They waved it off. The Stinger 43. Huskies needing a field goal to tie. Rosen stays on his feet. Gets outside. Gets more than 5, probably 6 yards on that.
Like drop back pass to try to run the trap draw inside, and Doug Rosen sees it all blocked up and bounces it up to the outside. Does a good job of protecting the ball. Get down the field with both hands around it.
Doug Rosen, who was injured in the third quarter, has had another productive day. 214 yards last week in the Churchill Bowl. And he cracks the 100-yard barrier easily again.
And what has to be concerned right now for Concordia is number 99, Jeff Anderson, is down on the field. It's a good drive by the Huskies. Started on their own 24-yard line. 6 plays, 50 yards. Of course, the big play was the pass to Kelly McNairn from Ryan Reed, and second down and long deep in their own end. Nice drive going.
Huskies with 156 yards on the ground compared to 94 for Concordia. So second down and short. And there's a handoff. They keep it along the ground. It'll be close. Another first down, very close. And I am sure Brian Towers is getting awfully tired of third and short.
And I believe he is a little bit short here, Rod. It's going to be inches.
No one else but number 10 will have it, and he easily gets over on the left side. The drive continues down at the 31 Concordia, Saskatchewan football. And getting closer, the very least time this game on a field goal.
Good surge by that offensive line. Get down real nice and low and allow Jason Crum to jump over top. No pressure, gets the first down easily.
And what is so instrumental, should Saskatchewan get a major here and go ahead, they've eaten up a lot of clock, over 4 minutes occupied on this Husky drive. Down approaching the 30 of the Stingers. What a close Vanier this has been. David Mirza receiving it. And inside the 25. Another good gain on first down for Saskatchewan.
Well, you can certainly see Brian Towers is not content to try and hold things back and play conservatively for the field goal. He's got Ryan Reed down here throwing the ball. I mean, they feel that they got a chance here to win this football game. As you said, they've eaten a lot of time off the clock. They want to end it now on this drive.
5-10 and counting down. They are able to get in the end zone, though. With a convert, it would be a 4-point lead and force Concordia to get another touchdown. Looks like some confusion for Ryan Reed, and Wayne Dunn has it. In the sack and back to the 34.
Boy, that's a costly error. And it looked like they were going to try and run some type of a sprint draw. You can see he didn't get the snap from center properly, trying to come back. Doug Rosen didn't seem to know what he was doing, and then Ryan Reed trying to make the best of a bad situation, but Wayne Dunn tracks him down. We're lucky there was not a turnover for them there, because the ball popped out from the center and kind of grabbed it in midair.
A much longer field goal attempt here for Matt Kellett, albeit 40 yards, better than his range. He missed the last time out. Easy distance. It is good. After 55 minutes plus in the 1998 Vanier Cup, we're back to square one. Saskatchewan 17, Concordia 17. We'll be back. But with 4:30 and counting at Sky Dome, I'm sure the Stingers will take a 17-17 tie. They got a chance to win their first national championship. That one Musica also had a slight shot at, although that sort of falls down incomplete up at the Stinger 50-yard line.
You know, we were talking about how Ryan Reed is very aggressive. That time there, John Kronemeyer was the antithesis of that. He was very tentative. He's trying to hand him the ball. You know, you got to sit in there and throw it and deliver it. And you see he's only 2 for 9 in the second half. But you can't hand him the ball. You got to get back there and throw it.
Yes, there has been overtime at Vanier. Saskatchewan involved 4 years ago against Western. That one for Hugo Carriere. He's bumped by Warren Musica, who puts the hands up and said, hey, not me, not my fault.
No, it's a good call because Warren Musica's allowed to his area. He's entitled to be where he is. Carriere ran into him. See Musica backed off, getting ready to drop back into his pass area. Looks. That was a good call. I mean, a no call was a good call on that one.
Absolutely. Top defensive player in the country, Warren Musica, taking the President's Trophy Thursday, and Dave Miller-Johnston. Back to punt. Once again, David Mirza. Kelly McNair will be back to receive this. The last time Mirza let it bounce and get past him, gave Saskatchewan the worst field position to work with. This time it's a shorter punt. McNair at his 40. Kelly McNair still going. Good return man for the Huskies. Gets it up across the 50 to their 51. And a good place to start.
Peter Luck, we get down to almost 3.5 minutes left in this game. These are the kind of games now when they're tied for the net and you're going for the national championship that you find out the players who are really champions. Who's the guy now who wants the ball? Who wants to make the big play for it? There's some guys that don't want to make plays, and there are other guys who really want to make them.
Well, stay tuned at the end of the game for the Chevrolet Cavalier player of the game. You talk about big plays. Perhaps we still haven't seen who will make that play and who will earn that award at the end. First and 10 Huskies to 51. 17 all. Heading down to the 3-minute mark. It's not too soon anymore to consider the possibility of overtime, and if there is, it will be 2 5-minute halves. There's no shootout rule, so if it's not decided after that, Sheehan knows all about these scenarios, doesn't he? Sheehan involved in a 2-day affair against Laval 2 weeks ago, tied at 10. And the first round of overtime solved nothing. It was too dark to continue. No lights at Concordia Stadium, so they came back and had actually 2 10-minute overtimes, and ultimately it was Jason Casey, the fumble return for the touchdown. They won it 17-12.
And you know, they're only about 15 yards away right now from field goal range for Matt Kellett.
Still lots of time, of course, to be even thinking about overtime. Just under 3 minutes. The warning sounded. Big sack again. Jeff Anderson. That Concordia front line has meant business today. Taking Reed down and a huge loss for the Huskies.
Good job in the secondary by Concordia. They call these covered sacks. He gets back here, but I tell you, this Jeff Anderson has merely been a one-man wrecking crew this afternoon, and that's why Paul Chester earlier said, you know, he was shaking his head when he wasn't even nominated for all conference this year. The way he's going, certainly showing all Canadian status.
Here we go. 5 sacks for Concordia, totaling 40 yards in losses. Gallagher's punted, nearly blocked. They got very close to that. Dave Spence catches it and is tackled immediately. Great special teams coverage by Jason Crum. He's a short yardage quarterback. He's a slot back, and he's not bad covering punts either.
See that stuff.
48-yard boomer for Matt Kellett.
It's a real tough catch right here, but you got to kudos to Jason Crum coming down there and making a sure tackle. First guy down there, if he misses him, there's a little bit of room. They can get something going, but you got to pin deep and back in their own end zone.
Good job, says Brian Towers. Seeing the field position work to his favor this time. 2:32 on the clock. Concordia football, but hemmed deep in their territory for Kronemeyer. Got the start. He's played the whole game. The handoff to Ashworth. Going nowhere. The ball comes loose, but they say it was down.
You know, this is a time and point where Brian Towers is going to say, we're not going to allow you to run the ball. You're going to beat us. You're going to have to do it with a quarterback that has not started any games for you. And he started the biggest game of his life, and that's John Kronemeyer. They're going to try and force John Kronemeyer to beat him.
If they don't get any more yardage, it's at the 19. Miller Johnston would have to punt from his 4. Field position in a tie game, of course, meaning so much the option goes awry. Davis in his end zone. Taken down right at the goal line. What's the ruling? Touchdown, Saskatchewan. The Huskies have taken the lead. An option attempt that goes over Evan Davis's head. Trying to get it out of the end zone, he loses it. And Saskatchewan falls on the ball for 6. First time today we saw them run counter option. The counter option is difficult because the quarterback has his back initially, and then he turns around, and there was somebody right in his face, forced a bad pitch. Flags down as Matt Kellett puts it through. If the convert stands, it'll be a 24-17 game with only 2:08 on the clock. And what this man must be feeling now. And you know, he hasn't got time to feel bad now. He's got to kind of get himself composed again, because he's got to come back out here and try and drive his team down the field. You can't be conservative now.
Outside, Concordia.
Shake it off and say nothing worse can happen.
5-yard penalty.
Again, counter option. He's going to open up to his right first, and then he's going to come back here. Now, when he comes back, you can see the linebackers right there on him, forces the ball, forces him to make the bad pitch. Now, at this time, he's got to get his shoulder square and get up the field and get out of there. Not only does he, I thought it might have been a safety, but he loses the ball while he's trying to get it out. He tries to stretch out here to put the ball out, so he doesn't get the safety, and he loses it. Brent Dancy making the tackle, and I believe Trevor Ludke with the touchdown for Saskatchewan, number 45. You know, we haven't called Mike Milo's name very often today, but he was the guy who forced the bad pitch because he was right in Kronemeyer's face when he turned around coming off of that counter option. Forced the bad pitch, and it results in a Saskatchewan touchdown. I believe it is Trevor Ludke, the 5th-year player, who was dressed for that 94 Vanier Cup, who ultimately came up with the ball. Points off turnovers. That has been a story today. 2:08 on the clock. What a turn of events for Saskatchewan, and a Concordia team that at least had a great shot of forcing overtime. They need a touchdown to do that now. On the return, it's Davis, who was trying to get the ball out of the end zone, coughed it up. Kronemeyer, as Jamie said, trying to shake off what just happened. Kronemeyer in that offense has demonstrated that it can move the football, especially earlier in this game with big plays to Sylvain Girard. We haven't seen much of that. And now Saskatchewan have taken out a linebacker and stuck in another defensive back, number 30, Brad Mitchell. Expecting the big play, and they're going for it. Sylvain Girard, who I just talked about, but incomplete and 2nd down. And you know, that I think is just a lack of playing experience for Kronemeyer, because when you get that kind of a pass where he's got position, you want to put some air underneath it. You want to allow the receiver to adjust to the ball. I mean, he has to throw that ball perfectly. It's not necessary. Girard's a pretty good receiver. You can see Kronemeyer missed him by that much. All he has to do is a little bit of air underneath that ball. 2nd down, under 2 minutes to go. 1:57. Pressure. They've got him. They've got him. Brent Dancy. Charlie Biggins. They put him in the sack. He loses yardage. It's 3rd and long. Hey, offense, get together. It's a good job by the defensive line. Brent Dancy, of course, leading Saskatchewan this year with 6 sacks. He lines up beside James Rapesi. Dancy does a good job getting outside leverage and coming in and finishing him off.
And Biggins with a hand on Kronemeyer as well. Dancy, product of the Regina Rams. And a good pass rusher all year for the Huskies, and what a big sack that was. Beautiful punt by Miller Johnston. Chases Mirza back inside his 30. David Mirza with the ball. Taken down just shy of his 40-yard line by Lone Dong. And the clock ticking.
Get the clock
Under 2 minutes in this game, although the scoreboard clock showed 15 and now shows 28. 128, the clock, it stands. Doug Rosen takes the toss. He's been hurt, but a good game he has had. Down to the Husky sideline once again, Darren Detition.
Thanks very much, Rod. Here's the man that scored the go-ahead touchdown. Doesn't get much bigger than that, does it, Chuck?
No, it's pretty big. All the defense did their job in that play, and I was just lucky enough to come up with the ball for us.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you, Darren. And if this is
Hi, family.
a championship for Saskatchewan, as it appears now, what a way for this guy to go with his second Vanier Cup ring.
Trevor Lukey looks pretty happy, but, you know, if Saskatchewan don't get the first down here, they're going to have to punt it away, and he's going to have to go back out there again.
2nd and 9. If Concordia wants a shot, they need to stop them here. It's the toss. Tony Chad strung out and stopped. No first down. Huskies to be punted.
And what a real smart play for Tony Chad not to go out of bounds. Make sure he stayed in bounds. You can see that he was running real hard to the sideline. And that's great awareness.
Clock showing 1:16 now. Stingers. Dave Spence going back to about his 25. Will have a chance.
This is kind of interesting here right now because they do have 2 return men back. And usually, not always, but usually when you're trying to go for the block, you only have 1 man back. So maybe they are going to try and set up a return. They certainly have 2 dangerous people back there.
There's dangerous people. As you see Matt Kellett standing inside his 30, Dave Spence, Sylvain Girard.
Now, they are setting up a return. The guy they got to really take care of is Jason Crum, number 10 in the end.
With a big tackle and punt coverage earlier in the quarter. Kellett's punt. They had pressure. And a flag is down for contacting the kicker. Spence loses the football. Stingers get it back. Spence gets it. Jason Casey, though, penalized for contacting Matt Kellett, trying to block it.
And you know, when you're teaching blocking the punt, you go to where the ball is going to be, and you go past the plane. You don't ever run into him. And that's a good call by the official. You had to call that one, and I'm sure he didn't want to call it, but you can't go straight onto him. You have to come from the side and angle across where the ball is going to be. So if you do miss it...
Unnecessary roughness. Roughing the kicker, number 23, Concordia. First down.
Get out there, offense!
Offense, get out!
Into that thing!
Well, unless the Huskies make a serious mistake, they will be celebrating very soon. Only 44 seconds. Keeping them from another national championship. Keeping it on the ground. And keeping the clock moving.
I'm actually a little bit surprised by that. I mean, they could actually down that ball, just take a knee right now and run it out. Concordia do not have any timeouts left. Saskatchewan.
And Evan Davis, who had an exciting touchdown run earlier in this game. Pat Sheehan, he has a ring from McGill. It's the first time he'd taken Concordia here. And what a performance they ended up putting on. They got so close. On the second down, they keep it along the ground, although the clock's still showing 35, and it's 3rd down now.
They're going to kick it away, and could tell Matt Kellett, you wait until that clock ticks all the way down to about 16, 17, 16 seconds. Use up all your 20 seconds that you have.
Depending on what happens, what kind of return, this could be the last play.
Ball's been kicked.
Spence to take it. Gets over his head. He bobbles it. 7 seconds on the clock. Spence, 3 seconds down. A flag going down. There will be one more play.
Ball, run to the ball.
Get him up, boys, get him up.
Still coaching in his 15th season. Started in '84, a program that was buried beneath the likes of Alberta, the great Calgary Dinos, the UBC Thunderbirds. And as they grew, they became a Canada West power, and they finally emerged victorious, coming to the Vanier in '89 and winning it in '90. On the threshold of another championship. Kronemeyer airs it out. It's intercepted at the 40. We've said it before, we'll say it again. Saskatchewan is #1 in Canadian university football. The 1998 Vanier Cup goes to the University of Saskatchewan. And a heartfelt effort by the Concordia Stingers, who made it very close.
Let's be a team, guys. Be a team from here. Come on.
Here's Darren Detition with the victorious head coach.
Well, thank you very much, Rod. I appreciate it. How about that bath? Not bad, eh?
It was a little chilly, but we're lucky we escaped with a win here in a lot of ways. But I guess we'll take it. You know, it's over, and give Concordia a lot of credit. They hung in there, and we said they could play defense, and they did. And we just didn't take advantage of some opportunities when we had them. And as a result, it was too close for comfort.
Speaking of defense, your defense has played well all season long. Is it fitting that they come up with the winning points?
Yeah, it was fitting, and you know, we said coming in that option's a high risk thing, and they're going to get some big plays, but there's also probably going to put the ball on the ground, and they got a touchdown to get back in it with the option, and they also really took themselves out of the game running it too. So, but that's high risk. That's the way they play, and they say they played very hard today. They've got a great football team, and we're just happy to get out of here with a win.
Well, congratulations, Coach. In comes James Rapessi. No team has won 2 championships in the 90s, but the Saskatchewan Huskies now have their 3rd Vanier. Let's go back to Rod.
Thank you, Darren. Huskies reign victorious, national champions again. We'll be back with more from Skydome right after this. The teams are still shaking hands, Concordia and Saskatchewan, following a Vanier Cup that, although not always well played, there were some big mistakes. It's certainly at a high level of excitement. Saskatchewan triumphant, winning this game 24-17, and perhaps fitting on a day where there were a lot of miscues. It was a Concordia mistake on the option that led to this man's touchdown, Trevor Lutke. An alert play in the end zone after it was coughed up by Evan Davis. The difference in a championship game, Saskatchewan winning it for the 3rd time in the 90s. And this is the play, Jamie.
Evan Davis can't quite find a handle. He's trying to get out of the end zone so he doesn't take a safety. Reaching forward, he was knocked down. The ball came loose, and then Trevor Lutke was on the spot and came up with the touchdown that won the game for the Saskatchewan Huskies.
We are ready now for the post-game ceremony. Let's join Darren Detition. Darren.
Hey, thank you very much, Rod. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank Tom Allen and Kerry Moynihan for being up here. Tom is the president of the CIAU, and Kerry is the chief executive officer of the CIAU. They are here to present the Vanier Cup and the CIAU championship banner to the captains of the 1998 Vanier Cup. Those are the Huskies. Gentlemen, if we could get the Huskies team's captains up here. Turn around, gentlemen. Warren, you guys have done that 3 times now. I guess it still feels as good every time.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. It was a great game today, and the boys really dug deep in the 4th quarter, and it was just unreal.
Were you surprised at how good Concordia played?
No, they're a tough team. Any team to make it to the Vanier Cup's obviously a tough team. So we played hard. We knew it was going to be a tough game, and that it was.
Congratulations on your 3rd Vanier Cup. Now it's time for the Ted Morris Memorial Trophy. It's presented by Chevrolet Cavalier to the most valuable player in this afternoon's football game. Presenting is Brian Boussier, who is the assistant brand manager for Chevrolet Cavalier. The Ted Morris Award winner is Trevor Ludke. Congratulations. Now, earlier in the football game, you said you wanted to say hi to your mom. You never got an opportunity. I guess here's your chance now.
Yeah, this is my 3rd Vanier Cup. I'd like to say hi to my mom and my whole family and everyone back in Saskatchewan. Thanks for supporting me. So I hope someone's taking good notes for me back there.
I think exams are probably the last thing on your mind now.
Well, now I have to start concentrating on them. But now that's over.
Congratulations on the win. It's time now to present the Bruce Coulter Award, which goes to the player of the game. It is named after Mr. Coulter, who was the football coach at both McGill and Bishop's Universities. He was also the director of athletics at Bishop's for 30 years. Presenting the trophy and the ring on behalf of Bruce Coulter is Jeff Chan, who is the co-chair of the Vanier Cup for this year. Jeff joins us now, and the winner of the Bruce Coulter Award is none other than Doug Rosen. I know you suffered a burner earlier in the football game, but you came back and you gritted it out, kind of like the entire team effort in this victory, Doug.
Yeah, this was a great team effort. You know, came right down to the wire, and everyone played great on offense and defense, and we owe a lot to the coaches who prepared us well in this game, and I just want to congratulate everyone and say hi to all my family and friends that came out too.
Well, it took a late victory to beat UBC. You guys got it done there. You beat Western, and now you guys are national champions again. Congratulations to both teams. They played fantastic this afternoon. Let's rejoin Rod Smith. Rod?
Thank you, Darren. All the captains up on the podium to take the Vanier Cup, all in their final year. And what a way to go out for the Saskatchewan Huskies. Scott Flory hoisting the hardware. And yes, this trophy goes to Saskatchewan for the 3rd time. 1990, 1996, and 1998. It didn't come easily this time around. It didn't really come easily in the other games as well. The Huskies find a way, and they are #1 in Canadian University football. The final score, the 98 Vanier Cup. Saskatchewan Huskies win it 24-17 over the Concordia Stingers. The Huskies have a little more baggage to take back to Saskatoon. They'll gladly tolerate the extra weight. It's the Vanier Cup, and it's theirs. Thanks for watching, everyone.